this earth plane, I try and take off, but both of my wings when I'm flying break off. And if I make it to the sky, I stay lost in the clouds, as if my compass stays off and down. I got a lot of days lost in this time space, cause I'm a ways off, but the sky is no limit, and neither is the atmosphere. I ain't trapped in here with the gases, my ride isn't finished. I fly to infinity with divinity live and replenished. In this illusion and trapped in here without clues, in this atmosphere is confusing. Without a map or an atlas here, and as usual my path ain't clear, but he's cruising at them high altitudes, refueling as needed. At top speed I keep moving, slowly ascending. So he has entered a place where you never fly low, but you in it. Inside my ancient temple, at a time when I know my mind state is gentle, designing lines that'll paint these mental masterpieces that are vast and deepness. Inside my temple that's ancient, the simple are vacant, but the principles basic. Where space and time is non-existent, I don't waste no time trying to find that entrance in an instant. If it's distant, I'm persistent. I just take a second and split it in half. Quick in a flash, a few time ripping.
What's up, y'all?
All right, we good. We just trying out some new things, y'all. We just trying to be a little fancy. We trying some new stuff out. So, you know, we trying to step it up for the 2022. So bear with us. Hopefully we'll have a little introduction going at the beginning of each session.
I'm still working on the intro. I got some software now to where I can actually do a real intro. I'm gonna get there.
It's coming. You know, so just bear with us. We always gonna start at 8:05. So even if you don't see the 30-second countdown or see us those first, you know, couple minutes before, seconds before, we will always be live at 8:05 live. So welcome to Free Thinkers. It is another Tuesday night. So your favorite talking folks. Let me turn this off. I don't need that going. Apologize for missing last week. Thanks for holding on the fort Q. Looks like, sounds like you and Tier had a good conversation.
Shame.
Yeah, that whole your kids not being in school for 2.5 years and then going back to school was like, I think today was the first day I was like, I'm not tired today. Like, I don't feel like I need to take a nap. I don't feel like, I think I'm finally caught up on the schedule. The kids did way better than I did, but I just was tired. And last week, there was so much going on last Tuesday. So apologize for missing. And thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. If you have not followed us over on our YouTube channel, please make sure
What's wrong with you?
I'm saying, I don't know how many times we got to say
together,
man. Get on over to the YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. Also click the bell so that you get the notifications. And that way, if and whenever things are going wrong in the Facebook world, especially for me, you can always catch our information over on the YouTube channel in regards to what the topic is for that night. And then, of course, you can live chat.
To you frequently, Nikki.
I know, I'm in jail again. And it's funny. My son was just saying, make another profile, and I was like, I've already done that like 3 times. I'm not. We're gonna make this work.
Rocks.
I know. I got that one. I had Nikita Jones. And I still love that one, but they've shut that one down too. So, but if you follow our YouTube channel, then you'll at least always be able to communicate live chat. If you are not on our Facebook Free Thinkers page, you also got to go there too, because that's where we post a lot more content. True. The link to be able to get onto the conversation, I only put on Facebook. I don't put it in YouTube because YouTube can grab people from all over the weird world and then they just have open door access. And we're not trying to do that right now.
Yeah, we got some of that a couple weeks ago.
We did. And I think we all got like penis blasted a couple weeks ago. And then we had an individual, you know, show up a little inebriated to try to join the conversation. That didn't work out so well. You know, it's okay. We try. But we do try to.
Come on back.
I don't even know where that came from, which is okay if you out there listening. Just come to the show a little more, a little less under the influence, right? And ready to pay attention and engage in the conversation.
A little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, so the Facebook page has the links to get into StreamYard, and then the YouTube channel, of course, has the videos posted. So follow those 2 places. Join those 2 places, share, so that we can continue to grow and reach more people. We've got a great conversation tonight. Dr. Bright actually shared this with us last week, this video clip, and I really just thought about it for a little bit, and I was like, I like this. So I think it's definitely going to be a good conversation. If you haven't seen the video that we're referring to, it is on the Free Thinkers Facebook page. it was posted by Dr. Bright, so it should be towards the top of the page. But it'll give you an idea of where this conversation came from tonight and kind of expands on what I'm sure we'll talk about tonight with whether we think there is or is not a gender war. What else contributes to that? And then we are going to split topics tonight. We do want to talk a little bit about, there's also a post that Denise had posted on the Freethinkers page that essentially talks about kind of like church hurt, right? But like, did you go to church for church or did you go to church for God? Did you go to experience God? Did you go to experience church? And kind of what that may do to people. And then I'd like to get into, there was the talk show. I don't remember what the name of the talk show is, but it's got the 4 women, Vivica Fox and Selena Johnson. What is it?
Ready to cancel Vivica. I'm done with Vivica.
See, and I disagree. I think the sentiment that she made about Nick Cannon was not far-fetched. So I'm curious to see, how that part of the conversation could go. Do watch that clip as well. And it's basically Vivica and the ladies on the talk show discussing Nick Cannon having children. And the number of children isn't the issue. It's that they're spread out throughout 7, 8, 9 different homes. And, whether or not he can do the job for all of those children,
yeah, we definitely
being in so many places. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So we're gonna stay on topic. We're gonna, keep a good schedule here. Join us in the comments live. Of course, your comments will show up on our page here and we will put them on our screen. And, we do try to engage with you guys in the comments as well. And then if you want to get into the conversation, go on the Facebook Freethinkers page, look for the StreamYard link. Because I think that's the only place it's going to be posted at tonight. So that's pretty much it. So Dr. Bright, thanks for being here tonight. I'm glad we had you twice in like the last month. This is like a whole special trip.
You know what that means?
Like what's going on?
I know it. I know what's going on. He got that itch.
I know.
Outside the box. He do. Outside the box. He's ready to get it started back up.
Nikki invited me and I said, of course.
We invited you. We invite you all the time. Now I mean you come on. He got that itch.
Is out
Look
of the
out
box.
for outside the box.
Is it on hiatus? Back. Are you not going to go back to doing a show?
I am at some point. I'm retooling how I want it structured. To be honest with you, I want to go more. My goal is to go more pop culture, kind of what's happening. Less always church versus this and that. Even though there will be some elements of that, obviously. But
man, I got to start up another show to do some church stuff. That was my fix, and he took off. He went away. I've actually been talking about that. I'm like, Dr. Bright ain't doing that, so now I need to find a way to get my fix in. So
feel free.
But you don't think that you already kind of infused that with high IQ, Q?
We talked about it.
Pretty consistent, theme of Christianity when you guys have your topics.
We don't have enough conflict, though. I need more conflict.
Right.
And the perspective, even though we differ on a lot of things, the perspective is still going to be similar since we came from the same type of upbringing.
True that. Sure.
So I need the Baptist perspective. I need the old apostolic perspective.
Right.
It's different levels.
Well, who you gonna get to bring the old apostolic perspective?
Oh, I got some people.
He got somebody. He got somebody in his bag back there.
Okay. All right.
Well, cool.
I was scrolling TikTok and I came across that and I was like, whoa. This sounds like something Nikki would absolutely enjoy.
And I love when people do that. So thank you so much. I love when people send me stuff.
I still think all that stuff. I'm sorry. I'm about to say something in a second. Did you get all the preliminaries out the way, Nikki?
I did.
Okay.
What's up, Stokely?
I still think that.
What's up, y'all?
What's up,
Hello.
Let's see what that beard game look like. He must cut his beard off. He cut his beard off and now he ashamed. That's why he
cut the beard off?
I'm over here eating this barbecue. Yeah, I don't want to see this. This is a mess right now. Give me about 3 more minutes. I'll be done.
About 3 more minutes.
I'll take it.
We glad that you're here. We appreciate you for showing up tonight, pulling up tonight.
So I think I'm so leery a lot of times, just the way things are set up, even on TikTok and a lot of these Instagram and different posts people put up, because I don't think people realize that most of this stuff is done for profit now. Like and let me say this and take it a step further. If a random thing, post, comment, whatever, reaches your homepage or whatever, and you have no dealings with that person, it's usually something that's sponsored or boosted, or like it's been commercialized and made to look like it's just somebody coming off the rip, when oftentimes that's what they do as a profession. And even with that particular post that Dr. Bright posted up, if a black man said that, wouldn't get much traction. Even if a white man said that, wouldn't get as much traction. But the fact that they got a woman to say that grabs even more traction. So it's
did you feel like they chose her intentionally because she was I would say a relatively masculine woman? Because she did identify as a woman, she identified as a woman, but I certainly, she looks to be very masculine. So, do you think that he asked that question to her specifically for a reason? I think
all of those things play a part. They grab attention, and it's not just what's being said, because that's often being said, but it's who's saying it. So if you get the right person to say the right thing, then it grabs more eyes and attention.
True.
That has nothing to do with those are just things that I notice often.
Right.
But it has nothing to do with this conversation. So never mind.
But I guess to take that even further, let me ask you, since you said that, and I don't disagree with you. So let me be clear. I actually agree with you. That was a targeted way to meet the end result of what they wanted to accomplish. But does it take away the validity of the question or the response?
It does not. And we even did a whole show about the dad bringing the McDonald's to his son and not the other kids, and we all knew that was staged. But the idea in that type of scenario exists anyway, so we still spoke about it.
Right, because the conversation was still super relevant. People's feelings about whether that was right or wrong was really what was most important. Like, why did you feel this way, versus the fact that, of course, they come out 2 days later saying, "Oh, it was all for likes and whatnots." And
so I think the future of social media, we're gonna have to get used to a lot of scripted scenarios that's gonna be presented to us, and we'll still comment and talk about them because the issue itself is still relevant.
Right.
That's just my thought. Gets on my nerves, but I see that's the way it's going.
You see the writing on the wall.
Yep.
So how do you want to jump into it? I couldn't get the video to save. I was going to save the video to upload it, but it wouldn't save. I don't know if it's because it was just like a Facebook thing and I can't save it and upload it to here. But the question essentially was a man
I wish you would have told me. I would have tried too, so we'd have both been working on it, because I would have loved to have the clip. That clip would have been really cool.
If you want to try, Q, you can try, but
I don't even know how to do it. Is that the same place you load the pictures?
It'll probably take too long.
Yeah,
okay. If you want to know what we're talking about, on the Facebook Freethinkers page, the video's at the top, and it just says gender wars. That's usually what pops up when you first look at the clip, and it says gender wars. It's a very quick clip. And essentially, a man asked a woman, out in public somewhere, if what was the exact question? Is there a gender war taking place? So,
yeah,
we can start with the simple question of, is a gender war happening? Dr. Bright, you brought the topic to us. So, what are your thoughts?
100%.
You feel like yes, there is
100%, and I think it's become such commonplace that men have become the sport of women. Really?
Hold on. Say that again.
I know. I was repeating it. That men have become the sport of women.
The sport of women. Yeah. To target about almost everything. It's I want to qualify my response though by saying that it's just like when we kind of talk about almost anything, right? That you can take a real scenario, a real situation, and you see it in a few places, and then it becomes the problem that everybody's facing. And I don't know that that's legitimate, that portion of it, because you do have men who dog women, and as a result, women get back at them. And I think that that's the fair exchange when it's, that situation one-on-one over here, one-on-one over here. But I think the war concept of it is because now it's like, I'll give you another example. I see this bad televangelist, so all these preachers who have big churches are bad, right? It's almost the same kind of concept. There's these bad men over here, so all men must be like that. And so it's become this now what I perceive and agree with to be a war where men are having to defend themselves, and even to the point their defense is met with hostility because it's read as you taken up for, as opposed to, wait a minute, all of us are not like that. We all not dogs, we all not cheaters, we all not this, but we're blamed for everything. And even I remember watching one of these shows where there was some women on who were hot. And the subject was something about how women dress. And then it was like, oh, so it's not, you don't have to be a dog and whistle at us because we choose to be free in how we dress. And it was like, okay, so it got real conflated with all of these other things. I guess I'm rambling to answer your simple question. In my view, yes, there is a culture war. I'll shut up and let people talk.
No, you could have kept going.
But you generally feel like more women than not blame men for all things than not. Or do you, because that would almost indicate that there is a war, right? That there's a gender war, as opposed to some men or some women.
I would say that men have become the common scapegoat for all the ills of women.
Okay. Let me write that down. Hold on. Let me save my thought. Wait a minute. Men have become the scapegoat.
I came to y'all show to stir the shit tonight. I was just saying like that.
Well, because honestly, this kind of is infused to many of the conversations that we get into when we talk about relationships and healed people versus not healed people, right? And like breaking curses and like changing the course of our own paths. So it's absolutely a great conversation to be had. One of the things I liked in the video was she talked about how feminism directly was related to that.
Yes. So okay, let me say this, Nikki, because I'm still piecing. I'm writing down and piecing together some of the things you're saying. Well, first statement was feminism is killing this country. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that, Nikki? Is feminism killing this country?
That's such a. It seems like that could be an easy answer, but it's not for somebody like me when you look at the layers involved in what feminism stands for, right? So like the initial reason for feminism was, of course, to be the opposite to patriarchy. So on one hand, yes, we needed to have some equality across the boards, but I am also a very traditional woman. I believe in traditional gender roles for men and women in a lot of spaces. So I can't say that feminism is ruining, but I definitely feel like extreme feminism is causing Nikki, serious problems across the board.
I gotta quote the historic words of my boy Smack. You gotta realize when your movement has been hijacked.
And for that, it's dangerous. For that, it's caused, I think, more division amongst women than it was an inclusionary thing for all women. Because feminism then became something that was, beneficial to white women only and exclusively for a very long time. So feminism was supposed to be about women coming together and having greater opportunity, and then it fucking divided. So that's not a feminist. That's not a we. That's a me. I don't know. I don't know if I can say that I think feminism is ruining the world, but I definitely think it plays its part in the deterioration of the man and woman relationship.
And I have to give you props, Nikki, because I agree with you in the sense that I think it was necessary to get those very basic things of equality and those types of things. But I would also say that I think that it has been hijacked.
Right. And I agree.
I could say something else, and it would be probably so controversial, and then I'd be called somebody that's a basher and a hater, and I don't want to say that. But I honestly think I'm a free thinker.
I mean, you know where you at. Come on,
say it.
Because I have somewhat odd with the concept of having the term civil rights wrestled away from Black and brown people, specifically Black people, and now is the mantra that LGBTQ people use to justify their stance. So I understand how and let me be clear, I'm not a hater of LGBTQIA plus. I'm not a hater, right? But I do feel some kind of way, because I can understand how a woman can now feel that what was meant for good, positive change has been, roped away from them and turned into something else. And because that's how I feel about even the term civil rights being taken away from Black people to be used by another group of people.
And Dr. Bright, I think that that's what makes feminism dangerous. I think that type of feminism, I don't even know if you can call that feminism, or are they just wrapping it in feminism because it sounds good? But it's the attaching yourself to a mission to literally just further your own. I mean, that's a whole other conversation for a whole other day. But I agree with you on that, because I feel like what it was originally supposed to be definitely got hijacked. Absolutely got hijacked and got a really bad name, got a really bad rep. Absolutely.
And now it leaves a real nasty taste in the mouth of people.
Yeah, being a feminist, ooh. Yeah.
And, I'm not even a woman, and I know that you guys are getting held behind.
I don't want no parts of that.
Being a woman?
No, being like dealing with the feminist woman. The term it does give a
yeah.
When I hear feminist, one of the first things that come to my mind is man hater.
Well, I had a
exactly
that was on the list,
and I don't even know if that's fair, but I mean
it was on the list. It was literally on the list. Man hater. There was a few things that were on the list of typical thoughts and beliefs of radical feminist women. Was definitely hates men was one of them. What were you saying, Stokely? Sorry.
I was saying this girl. Well, y'all know, I will defend a woman to the end of this earth, and I said something. I can't remember. It wasn't anything. It was just like calling a spade, basically.
Right.
And she tried to give me the blues, but this mouth do some crazy things. But before it was all said and done, I'm defending the women in a way that, like I said, I have a mother, I have a grandmother, I have a sister, I have, women that I care about and love. And I want women I'm saying all women, but this white woman who wasn't feeling what I was saying tried to get fly with me, and I had to give it to her. And so when we say super feminist or super, just it kind of rubs me the wrong way, because here, let me back up just one second. And I'm going to go to how women's rights were for women, not just white women. And white women today still seem to feel as though it's all about white women, and it's not. And when you try to point that out to certain white women, they get offended and they get hurt and they want to say some crazy stuff. And then it's up to me, and I'm not a woman, but Black women to check that. And so if you're a feminist and you're that, you can say what you want to say, but at the end of the day, isn't there somewhere that you want to be where all women are inclusive in that? But you're defeating the purpose in a lot of not you, but those strong feminists. I'm not making any sense. Strong demeanor.
It's radical feminism is what I found online was radical feminism. I mean, straight up.
It ruins the cause.
Right.
So that's the part of it that I don't like. And like you said, it takes away from Dr. Bright made a good point in saying how the LGBTQ community, they're being heard before Black people are even being heard on our fights and our situations. Which, am I mad? I'm not mad. I'm just like, well, damn, we've been saying the same shit for all these years.
I mean, you got to get in line. It's a line here. I'm sorry, and you ain't got to like I said it, but there's the fucking line here. Like, I'm sorry.
Well, they skipped the line though.
Fucking line. Like,
they skipped the line.
But you want to know what's so interesting about that is that now, I mean, we had to fight. Black people had to fight for this thing about hate, and now, I mean. Now it's proliferated everywhere. You say something against the community, dude, and you are canceled. But you can say something about a Black person. I almost said an N person, but you can say something about a Black person, and you cool. But you say something about a gay person, you're done. You're out of here.
Yeah,
that's what I said. They skipped.
And how did we get there though? That's my. You know, I'm gonna tell you.
So that's the question: was that feminism? Did feminism do that?
I think the model of stripping and taking a fight and molding it around some ulterior motive is how we got here. It's about stealing somebody else's fight and making it yours. Yeah, that's how we got here, and that's what's creating the war.
And it's easier to do when your circle is not intertwined or merged within. So it's easy to push back and suppress Black people because in the white society, that's not their circle. Right. But when you go to the women's rights circle, those are also your daughters and your wives and your mothers who's also a part of that. So you have to handle it differently because part of your circle is intertwined in that circle.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like there's a gender war?
Yes and no. Yes, there is. And like I said, it's those women that want to say it's a man's fault. It's that man's fault. It's those women. It's not, you know. And I don't come across them that often just because, you know, I get up before I get down. I don't, but it's one of those things where those are the type of people, if I were to come across one, we would have a deep conversation.
Yes.
And she would point the finger at men in general, like just a broad paintbrush of men. This is why. And no, that's not the reason why. I've said it. You're mad at old rich white men. That should be that's who you should be pissed off at.
Right. You mad at the wrong person.
Yeah, you mad at a brother that's just doing what he got to do to live. I'm not your problem. I'm not your fight. But they think that we are just because we're men.
Because we have the same mechanics.
Exactly.
Well, okay, and I was gonna say that also. I actually wrote that down. What you said, well, not what you said, but in a similar way, Stokely. The average man is suffering the brunt of the 1%.
Yes.
So the 1% old rich white men who are controlling the other 85% of the country, and they're putting laws in place and they're doing things. They can't reach those people. You can't even talk to those people to get their attention. Right. But who you can, it's like it's almost a comparison to the woman who lashes out at her children because she's mad at the kid's father.
At the kid dad, yeah.
She can't reach him. He out there. He done left. He gone. He living his best life of doing whatever he want to. So the kids are the one taking the brunt of it.
And you know, Q, and what happens is, and you know what she says when she gets real mad at him? You just like your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Now, and keep in mind that the other part to this is even we're getting the brunt of it, but truthfully, just like racism, there are some things that trickle down to even the average man. So even patriarchy greatly benefits that upper 1%, but even still, it mildly benefits the average you and I person. And I think that's the thing that's frustrating for women. Nikki, I'll let you jump in on this, is because even the small concessions that we do get a certain level of privilege. And there's certain things that me as a black man, I didn't even know how, men got paid more typically in the workforce, especially white men get paid more than doing the same job than black men or women. A lot of those things we don't see, but we do get incremental advantages in ways that we don't even recognize, and that further frustrates women because it's just like the racial component to where you may have a police force and you have political powers and things that's putting laws and oppressions in, and that's the real force of the power. But the everyday person that you work with, they don't say, well, no, I've never had no issue with the police. And they don't actually see the privilege that they receive. And it further frustrates those who are on that level. So I think that could be part of it too. Nikki, what do you think?
Well, I wrote a couple things down. I'll chime in on the most recent so that my brain doesn't forget. But you mentioned that like, and I could be wrong. But I thought I wrote this down right. But you said that essentially like the 1%, that men essentially pay the price. Regular men pay the price for that 1% of men who are just absolutely doing, the things that we complain about, right? You said that you don't feel like the average man benefits from the patriarchal system. So I guess as a woman,
well, what I said, even we have less of an advantage, but we don't recognize the advantages that we have over women. Even on a lower level, we don't recognize the advantages that we have.
Okay, so I appreciate you for clearing that up, because I definitely do think that most men do benefit from the system of patriarchy. Now, I also think within patriarchy, there's also hierarchy. And this is where the white man versus anybody that's not a white man comes into play, right? So who gets to eat first? Who doesn't get to eat first? So in trying to, like, again, all these different layers involved in this, and I think that's one of the reasons why the word feminist or some of these things that we're talking about get so like just blanket covered and like, oh, it's a monolith, and it's not. None of this is one-sided. Like none of this just has one channel. I do believe that most men, benefit from patriarchy. Obviously, if they didn't, then the system would crumble eventually. It was designed for a reason, and most folks are not fighting that system of patriarchy. I don't know if we really can fight the system of patriarchy. One of the things I think about is, could the disconnect for, I would say probably a majority of people than not, be that, most men, or no, I'm not gonna say most, but men may not identify with women issues because they're men. Women may not identify with men issues because they're women. Straight people may not identify with gay issues because they're straight. Gay people straight. Black, white, Spanish, Chinese, whatever the case may be. Like, and there are some of us who have built in empathy and things like that to be able to try to walk in another person's shoes, to maybe understand some of why they feel the way that they feel. But I think that most people don't. Most people literally only look at their perspective.
Let me say this also, Nikki. I think it doesn't equally go both ways. I think that's one thing that I realized. So just like I said, even on a racial component, Black people, we are forced, if you're going to operate in society, you have to adapt to white society. When I go to my job, I can't act the way I act at home. White people are not forced to adapt to Black society. They don't have to come to our neighborhoods. They don't have to. So even in use another comparison, gay people, they got to live in a straight world. Straight people don't necessarily have to live in a gay world all the time. So a lot of things we may miss.
Increasingly, we are, Q.
Yes,
I was kind of thinking that when he said that. When he said that, I was thinking
it's leveling out. It is leveling out. I agree with that. Historically, that's been the case, but it is leveling out.
Right.
And then even on top of that, a woman has to live in a man's world, but a man don't necessarily have to live in a woman's world. There's a lot of things that we miss that they get because it's the level of adaptation that one group has to acclimate to versus the other. Well, and it doesn't go both ways.
Right. And with that being said, every day of my life, and I say this to people that I meet, you have no idea. You have no idea. I may have mentioned this before when I find myself code switching so much, it's unbelievable. And
what do you mean by hold on? What do you mean by code switching?
For those that may not know what code switching is, Stokely, please educate them. I go from Harvard to Harlem quick. Okay. And it's because, I know if I'm sitting in a room full of brothers, I can and Nikki, I can talk to who I want to talk, and if I'm at work with one of my clients, of course I can't sit up there and just, so I have to, and I do it. It's so, think about it. It's just that way. And that's the way that we have to get through life. But I'm sure women do the same thing. Other races of people do the same thing because of the patriarchal system in which we have been raised in and conditioned to just live within, So I wish I could just be.
Let me ask you: is that a function? But is that a function? Is that a function in all reality? Is that a function of more a function of what's the word I'm looking for? Minority versus majority, or is it a function of race and gender?
I think it's minority versus majority. And the minority doesn't even have to be numerically, but it could just be power-wise.
Right. I would agree 100% with that.
Because I was about to say, from a numerical perspective, that majority is not as strong. In fact, many recent studies are saying that kind of the push about this abandonment of even the ability for women to have abortions is not about really Black people. It's about keeping white women from aborting their white kids so
that's what it is.
Majority. The white deaths have decreased, so they have to have more white babies. White people are so damn afraid that we finna just fucking go extinct completely. So, but they forgot about all the other brown and, non-white babies that are going to be born also with no abortions being able to be given. So it's like, did you really think about this? Did you really fucking think about this?
that to me though is kind of okay. So now there's a lot of white girls out there like brothers. There's a lot of brothers that like white girls, and they're gonna make babies.
They all making Black babies. I ain't got no problem with it.
So why would you?
Really and truly.
I mean, they made the rules. They made the 1%.
You know what? Hold on, Stokely. You know what's gonna happen, right? Exactly. Just what you said. After they keep on, they're gonna start changing the rules.
Yeah, that's moving the goalpost again.
It's gonna go from 1% to that. They're gonna have a new paper bag test. There's gonna be 50%, and now they're gonna start reclassifying some of these mixed race babies as white.
Yep.
And you know what? And this is what I realized.
Wow, that's interesting, Q. Pay
attention to this, Dr. Bright. I don't know if y'all, because I'm a Wikipedia fiend, and I do that. I'm looking at different cities and demographics and geographics.
I do the same thing. City
I
data.
do too, especially when I'm traveling. I want to know where I'm going, what it looks like.
Exactly. Go look. Pay attention to the demographics when they show the racial makeup. And you'll look at something and it'll say 75% white, and then 15% Black, and then 10% Asian Islander, and then another other. But then see, this is I used to do the census. I used to actually do the census around 2010. Hispanic is not a race.
Nope. So they classify them as white a lot of times.
A lot of Hispanics will you can classify yourself whatever you want to.
Right.
And a lot of Hispanics will classify as white because they know the benefits of
Absolutely.
So what you'll find is, even though it says this city is 75% white, when you go back and look at the Hispanic population, then it'll be like 63% Hispanic. I'm like, y'all ain't all white.
Right.
So it can be a lot of trickery involved in that, where you think it's more white people than it is.
Right.
To further prove that, when you talk about numbers, so we used to get the arrest reports every weekend. We go to the police department, we get the arrest reports. Nature of our business, people who get arrested for certain things need the services that we offer. So we would
buy busted. You buy that.
No. They would bring them to class, so we would always pass around that week's Busted magazine.
I was in Busted a couple of times. Like, I saw you in Busted. I was like,
were you a handsome hooligan at least?
It was. No, I wasn't.
So we would buy the arrest reports, and you were either black or white. That was it. So Hector Gonzalez Soto III was always a white man.
I didn't know that, dude.
Vanessa Moncada Jaimes, she was always a white woman, right? So like you were either a black male or female, or you were white. There was no Asian markings. There was no Latina markings. There was nothing. And so, I mean, people don't really think about how that dilutes numbers, how that changes data, and then the things that are derived from those sources of data are based on that stuff, right? So then it changes the accuracy of whatever those numbers are for. So just something to kind of support what you're saying about numbers and white versus black versus Hispanic, what they're counting people as.
Let me try to close this up in a couple minutes so we can jump to these other topics. Let me,
Ivory,
I'm
jump
to you first real quick, Ivory. Number one, there's a couple things that the woman said. Did you watch the post that we're talking about?
Which one are you guys talking about?
The woman who was talking about feminism is killing this country. Did you see that?
No, I heard you guys talking about it.
Okay. Well, do you believe that feminism is killing this country?
And even more so that there is a war.
Is there a gender war? Do you feel like there's a gender war?
No.
Okay.
Care to elaborate, or you just leave it right there?
She said what she said.
She said no.
Very succinctly.
I know how she always said, and then she gonna go on about another 2 minutes after that.
No. I think it appears to be a gender war because we're living in a very selfish, self-centered society.
Okay.
And so people are doubling down on their identities to perpetuate their selfishness and their desires to do what they want to do, and it's masked as a gender war. That's my belief.
I think it's polarization, and what the woman also said in there, she talked about this also. We're taught to fear, and that's one of the things I put in the post. It don't matter what it is, they want you to fear, and they want everything to be polarizing. You got to be on one side.
And let me say this too, and the reason I also believe that is because a lot of the things that go back and forth, because I believe in traditional roles, but a lot of the things that go back and forth is, men complaining about the level of responsibility women want them to have, women complaining about the level of cooperativeness, submissiveness, support that men are requiring from them. So no, I'm just saying. No.
I was just thinking about something else, but go ahead.
Nothing's bad about any of those things. For somebody to want that of a woman and somebody to want that of a man, everybody fighting against it is them people prioritizing themselves over what relationships and families actually need. And I just see it as selfishness, not actually a gender war.
And that's what I was going to say. That's the thing that people always point to this side or that side, but nobody pays attention to. You got to work at it. Everybody wants to point the finger, but nobody wants to do the work that relationships take. They take work.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody it's a microwave society. They want it to be ready-made. I need me a man who's going to listen and be considerate and attentive and a provider and protector, but then he still cry when I need him to cry, and he could be my best friend and I can tell him everything. You want all of this stuff, but it takes work and it takes time. Nobody wants to take the time that it takes to build that type of relationship. Let me ask one more thing before we jump to another.
Well, and I want to throw something in too. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Nikki. No, go ahead, Nikki.
Well, I was just
one
going to
last
say,
question I'm gonna ask after that.
could some of what maybe we think that we're seeing now, you know, whether we think gender wars are or are not happening, could some of this also really and truly be that we're just in a time, like we're in an era of time where we've come so far from what it was. We have what we have right now. Like we're trying to blend those two worlds together, plus this modern shit. And then back to what I said in the very beginning, I feel like there's more of a hurt people syndrome going on in the male-female dynamic more than I feel like it's the women saying all men are shit or men saying all women are shit. And I never will say that all men say that or all women say that, because we know that that's not true. We know that's absolutely 100% not true. I feel like there's just more broken and unhealed people who are trying to have relationships. And that's where you get these unrealistic ass expectations of men from women or of women from men and zero reciprocity. Or people are so fucking burned, they don't want to try again. They're like, no, I just need somebody to keep my bed warm and keep my meals on the table.
But you know, there's a lot of feminists who don't want you to try to work out a relationship with a man. They just want you to come over to their side.
Yeah, if you're a man hater, then men have no position in this world. And that's absolutely not true.
And you know, one thing, you made me think of something else real quick. I don't know, but this is just a thought that came to my head. Part of the issue could be, number one, I'll say it's media and programming. But with the part of media and program I'm talking about is more people look now towards social media as their mode of entertainment, information, inspiration, versus whatever you felt about ABC, NBC, Fox. They consistently showed examples of families, good families, bad families, you know, married with children, that type of stuff.
Right,
but it's more the dynamic between men, women, working through issues, relationships, evolving, resolving conflict, things like that. And since those type of shows have mostly faded away, it's not a lot of those shows that's at the forefront the way that they used to be. Now you just got people listening to Tasha K or Kevin Samuels or somebody else who just have their own opinion that's usually geared towards single people, and single people themselves just listen to commentary about single life. And how often do they even, you don't see the Cosby Show or Martin or Fresh Prince, and you don't see the same family dynamic. And I'm still talking about programming, because all of it's programming. Now we're just being programmed by a different mode that has pretty much eradicated all of that type of family behavior out. So now you got people just left saying, I'm good by myself.
Makes me feel like the family system is under attack more than men versus women. Makes me feel like the man-woman family, nuclear family, is under attack, you know? And part of that, I guess, is feminism too, because they've attacked men and, you know, canceled men out, you know, for a long time. I did like what you said though in the comment about how capitalism and a lot of other things were doing just as much, if not more, damage to society than feminism by itself. I definitely agreed with those things.
Okay, one more thing that she said real quick, and this is the part I think I disagree with this part of it. One comment that she said, men are the underdogs right now. Do you feel, I'm asking, do anybody feel like men are the underdogs right now?
I don't.
No.
I think we're trending in the wrong direction, but I wouldn't say we're currently underdogs. Now you give it another 10 or 15 years, I don't know.
I like that phraseology, Q. I think we're trending in the wrong direction. I definitely think we're trending in the wrong direction.
Statistics don't say you're the underdog, so you're not. I mean, I'm just saying.
The data doesn't show that, huh?
Statistical data does not support that.
But we also know data can be manipulated to the means of the.
That's very true. That's 100% true.
Go straight off of data, Ivory.
But even if data was wrong, you still have patriarchy protecting you at every turn that you make. That's always going to be in your back pocket. And that's not something that women have access to like men do.
It's just like privilege. It's just like privilege.
Yeah.
Only patriarchy, you actually have nature is a privilege for you when it comes to money and job markets. I mean,
you said nature is a privilege?
Nature. I've been pregnant for the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
I'm off work. I'm not getting the same raises. I'm not getting the same promotions for 5 years. So a man that comes in at the same time as me, not going through these nature ups and downs, naturally.
And he could be a father with 3 children and still get the same job you won't get, because you're going to go home when they're sick. You're going to take off when they're sick. You have to pick them up from school when they're sick.
Take that maternity leave.
Yeah.
So just nature itself is an advantage for men in the marketplace. So
that's a good point.
I never really thought about it like that. Absolutely right.
I didn't either.
That's why we do this. That's what we do these days.
All right, Nikki, what's the second topic, Nikki?
So we were talking about the post that Denise had put up there about the church versus God, and your experience in there. Did you go for church? Did you go for God? You'll have to read it because I didn't save it and upload it.
Let me find it real quick.
Because you tagged me in it, and I was like, I can't freaking respond. Type on the page.
I was gonna really drill down on you, like, what?
I got 18 more days to go.
No response. I guess I checkmated you then, Nikki. You ain't got no response.
I can't say nothing.
I was wondering why you hadn't said anything.
If if I haven't said anything, there's a reason. Kasha said, Kasha said, when you go to Facebook jail, she said, when you go to Facebook jail, she said, Instagram be popping. So my Instagram is live right now, but my Facebook is super dead. You find it, Q?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on. I gotta.
I know I read you comments on it. Stokely, I don't know if you saw it. Dr. Bright, I don't know if you saw it. It was interesting. When I read it, I was like, okay.
Oh, no, that ain't the one. Nope, that ain't the one. Hold on.
It should be right up on the top.
It's not on the top for some reason. So now I'm trying to find something that I was tagged.
Let me see if I can find it while you looking too, Q.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I don't see it.
I'm down to one device. I can't use my other phone to scroll right now. So I'm just sitting here looking at the camera. Denise was going to come on tonight. This was her post, but hers ain't here.
I did see that.
Okay, you did.
Okay, is it the one that says some of y'all didn't try God, y'all tried church?
Yes.
And when the church hurt you, or you found out that liars, fornicators, and fake people also go to church, you concluded that God ain't real or that Christianity is a joke. If people make you walk away from God, you were never in relationship. You were just in religion.
People make you walk away from God. You say that last line again, Dr. Bray.
If people can make you walk away from God, you were never in relationship. You were just in religion.
I don't know if I totally agree with that.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either.
I was just going to say, I have no disagreement with that.
I was about to say that same thing. I kind of agree with that, actually. I actually kind of agree with that.
Oh, you agree with the statement?
I actually do, yeah.
Okay.
We got 2 and 2.
Well, no, you got 2.5 to 1.5. I agree with most of the statement, but I don't believe if people make you walk away from God, you were never in a relationship. You were just in religion. There's elements of that I agree with. There's other elements. I don't think that's an absolute statement.
Let me transpose it in another way. You in a relationship with you're in a committed relationship, whether it's a marriage or a domestic partnership or whatever, right?
Right.
If somebody outside of that direct connection can make you doubt, leave, and vilify the person you were with based on what they said, based on what they did, based on what, then the level of your relationship with that marriage or that domestic partnership.
Keyword level. You said it right there. Keyword level.
Call into question.
But you said that your keyword, the level of the relationship, comes into question. I can't say that there was no relationship. So that's why I said that statement is not absolute to me. I definitely question the level of the relationship.
might, even though I'm a begrudgingly give you part of that, Q. I'm a begrudgingly give you.
But that's all I'm saying. I don't totally disagree with it, but I don't totally agree with it either. And basically, for the most part, that's what I was saying a few weeks ago.
Well,
I've been married to Tony for 30 years. Let me tell you something. I've been married to Tony for 30 years, and a damn person can put me in a situation where I'm going to trust them versus what I've actually experienced for 30 years. Not now one.
True.
But if this person hasn't had 30 years in their church family or 30 years worth of their journey of faith, you know, so I think he was right when you talk about levels.
Okay, the quality of that relationship.
Well, the quality of relationship 30 years into it is not the same thing as the quality of the relationship the first 5 years, or even the first 6 months for that matter, you know. I think what I took out of that post, and it's kind of like what we just talked about a couple of weeks ago when we did the Christianity topic, you know.
So,
it's not so much that there are, you know, I'm just gonna say sinners, right? Because that's what they call it, right? Like we're regular fucking humans, but you know, in that world, it's called sinners, right? So it's not like because there's sinners in there, you know, they're like, oh man, all this God stuff is just, you know, it's not gonna work for me. They must all be lying. It's not that. I think that for somebody coming into it, or somebody who is new to the relationship, or you know, searching for a spiritual connection or a spiritual relationship, it is a very challenging thing to live in a world where we are constantly judged and quantified by a religious relationship. You know, that when you see people who claim to be about it, not be about it, it makes it really hard to believe in what's being said to you. That doesn't mean you don't have a relationship or can't have a relationship with God, because a lot of people have a relationship with God and they never go to church. I don't think that relationship is any less significant.
That's what I was going to say, Nikki. I think a big part of the issue is that most religions give the presentation that you can only have a relationship with God through that religion. So oftentimes, whether you agree with it or not, I believe it's taught improperly, and it makes it hard. So when you find fault or discrepancies or holes or things that's not connecting with you with that religion, you've been taught to only have a connection to God based on the way that religion tells you to have that relationship. So when the breakdown of commitment to that religion falls apart, a lot of people also feel like their ability to connect with God has fallen apart also, and I don't believe that that's the truth. But I can easily see how people have a hard time deciphering the two. So it's just like, okay, I keep using this example. I'm gonna write a whole little mini book on this too. It's just like if I take karate classes, I've learned a discipline and an art form. And I learned how to hi-ya and kick and do certain things like that. And then later somebody, maybe after I got a black belt in karate, and then somebody come tell you, you know, Taekwondo is actually a better fighting art form. And even more than that, you get into Muay Thai, it's much better. Now, just because someone has presented a higher level of fighting technique, or in religion, a higher level or a different level of truth, that don't mean I don't know how to fight no more.
Right.
But what a lot of people will do is say, oh, they didn't tell me that, you know, they didn't tell me how to do the joint manipulations in karate, and they didn't show me how to, you know, to do eye gouges and to do certain holds and stuff like that. I'm just going to give it all up. That don't mean you can't fight no more. Like, you don't throw away what you have learned just because you realize that there was more than what you were taught.
But
and I think that's what I see in religion.
But many people, once they get hurt, it all gets thrown in the trash.
Yeah.
For many people.
I feel like that's about them. That's their coping. That's their lack of coping skills, honestly. Because because they got hurt doesn't mean you just throw it all away or you walk away.
so
Like, I
weird
think
to
that
me.
if you don't have coping skills and problem solving skills, and you're a runner, you know, or you're not taking accountability and you like to blame everybody else and you're not looking at your own shit, you know, I mean, it's really easy to detach and say, oh, it's all your fault, or I can't deal with these and this and whatever. Like, I think it's I think it's almost that person's character defects that would allow them to do that and turn away completely from the church.
It's their own thing. Like you said, I agree with that 100%. It's their lack of ability, you know, to have mature coping mechanisms.
And listen,
I agree with that.
This is too churchy, but a lot of people are coming to church literally to be saved. Like, Jesus is a savior. They kind of miss what he's saving you from.
I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to be homeless no more. I'm tired of being broke.
They think like, oh, I'm gonna come to church.
I'm losing my mind.
Going to just save me from
fix it all up.
Whole miserable life, my whole miserable family, all of these awful people I know. I won't have to deal with any of these problems anymore. I'm going to come to church and just be saved from my life.
You know what's God's fault? This is what God's fault. The new baby Christians, God just be doing everything for them, and they feel like, oh yeah, it is.
It is a season, right? There's a season, but then when it's over, you're like,
and you gotta start
so
working
these
for
people
it.
have issues. So these people might tell me off. So these people might not speak to me when I come on Sunday. You know, then you're like, whoa, wait a minute. And so if you really just came not for like a complete, like, here, God, here's my life, tell me what to do with it. You just came to be relieved from pressure. Then you find out you're not relieved from all your pressure. Then you're going to be upset and you're going to leave.
I can fool with Ivory.
Yeah,
I could fool with you too.
Sometimes y'all talk long enough. You see. But Dr. Bright, you did say so the thing that does confuse me a lot, and I've had a lot of these conversations, and I mean, Dr. Bright would know, because Dr. Bright know where I came from in a lot of instances, and I came from, forget about me, I know a lot of people who came from a certain church where they were more tied into the religion than they were to God. And a lot of these people who I know, they just totally fell out with God. And I was like, for real? Like, why?
A whole lot of people.
So I'm like, so did you? So, you know, so like, did you forget what, you know, when you prayed for this and God answered your prayer?
That was convenience Christianity. Like what kind of like what Ivory was talking about. It was convenience Christianity. Like, and it ain't convenient for me no more. Or my shit's fixed and I don't have to come anymore.
Nikki, I'm talking about these are people I did life with. I know what their issue was. I know what their prayers was.
Right.
I saw their prayers get answered. I saw their life get turned around, and it didn't have anything to do directly with a church. It dealt with God hearing those prayers and answering those prayers. And then when the relationship with the church fell apart, I was confused as to how did your relationship with God fall apart when you had personal experiences with what happened? I don't. That's the part that confused me. I'm like, okay, so all of that. Do you feel that was fake? Do you feel like that wasn't really? Go ahead.
Can I ask you this? Don't you feel though like I definitely have a relationship with God outside of just my religious experience of going to church, but church gives me focus. It gives me boundaries. It gives me parameters. And can give me a little fire and drive. It can keep some logs on that fire of the relationship.
Right.
So sometimes I think people think, oh, I'm done with church or I'm done with this. But that is what you've outlined your whole relationship with. And so I think sometimes over time, people don't realize. And I think a lot of people found this out during the pandemic. I'm good without church. I got this relationship with God and I'm good. But to me, you actually have to be a more focused person without that community around you to stay focused on your relationship with God, because there is so many things pulling your attention in so many different directions.
I don't know how, just like to the point where people just don't believe in God anymore. That confuses me.
This is the problem, though. I don't think people go straight from I'm leaving this church to not believing in God.
Almost though, Ivory. Almost. I know a lot of people that's pretty close to that.
So Ivory,
but don't you think it took a little while? I'm not
Ivory. Let me give you my example.
Yeah, there's got to be like a period in here where you're just pondering, like, how does this
that's what
work
I'm
for
saying.
me?
Most
I'm
people
not
I know
sure.
It took them a year or two, like
questioning my own belief system.
I'm over this whole God thing. It was a journey of leaving church, maybe trying to find another church, deciding you didn't want to find a church at all, deciding you could do church at your house, then deciding you ain't gonna do church at your house, then deciding forget being a Christian, I'm just spiritual, then deciding, hey, I don't even need to be spiritual, all the good I got is in me. It's like a journey.
That's one way that it works, Ivory. That's one way that it works, but there's some people I know is gung ho 110%, and then something happens,
like sold out,
absolutely, and then something happens, and then church heart gets broken and they just fall away completely, and I'll be like, really, just like that? So
you know what,
and so then my conversation be like, all right, well, you know what, if this church ain't your cup of tea, or things has ran its course, then I understand, I get it. So what you doing now? It's like, oh no, so you done with God completely? Like, that's the part that ain't going to another one. You're not gonna find another form of discipline that better suits you. See, that's what I'm saying.
But who's to say that discipline has to be a church? Who's to say that discipline can only be found there?
Nikki, I agree with that 100%. That's my point.
But if that was their base, Nikki, the expectation, the logical, in my mind, the expectation, if that was their base, that would be what they would seek, is another place that offered them what they were getting where they left, that turned sour, as opposed to a complete 180, and it's like, I don't want nothing to do with none of them. And you go, whoa, it was that bad?
I'm not even tripping off of I don't want nothing to do with church. I'm talking about people.
That's what some people's hurt looks like, and we can't quantify what that person's hurt looks like.
Like, that's the part, like, people who just stop believing in God off of it.
I have a judgmental statement for these people y'all talking about.
Okay.
These people was in the best fraternity they thought they ever found. And on top of this fraternity, it was like a lucky foot. Oh, you shook them dice and some things was happening good for you. So you sent them prayers up to God like some dice and seeing how they came down. And this is like the best country club ever. And then you found out you shook them dice wrong one day and your genie didn't come through. And that fraternity you was in, them people was tripping. When people act like that, I don't think it's from a genuine relationship with God. I think they got really excited about the place they were in, and they was treating God like a genie, like a lucky foot.
Well, and you also have to remember, like you said, a lot of people use church. A lot of people use church as a place of refuge, and it's like therapy, right? So how long do you keep a therapeutic relationship up before you eventually cut ties with your therapist and you practice what's been taught? You practice with the tools that are in your toolbox.
That's my point.
That doesn't work for everybody, obviously, right? But it could be some of those people in that journey.
But my point is, why are you not practicing what has been taught? You threw the whole practice away.
It's like being in a bad relationship. If you're in a bad relationship and let's say your partner beats the shit out of you, you're probably not going to want to be with anybody that looks like him or her or sounds like him or her. You're going to take some time to like heal a little bit if you feel like you've genuinely been injured by, let's say, whatever, right? Like, now, do those people come back to religion? Do they find their faith in another form or fashion? Does it manifest into something different? Who knows?
But you talking about somebody beat the shit out of you. That's like the Jim Jones type stuff. If you went to Jim Jones church, then I understand why you don't want to deal with no more church, and you probably don't believe in God. I got that part. Hurt is not hurt. No, it ain't.
Hurt is hurt. Because we can't tell somebody how they hurt. We can't tell
them. Hurt. No, it's not.
Hurting
my feelings and breaking my eye socket is not the same thing.
But not to you, but that's how you feel about that. The next person may feel totally different.
But you know what that sounds like to me? What that sounds like to me is saying, okay, this man I've dated 3 men and they all whooped my ass. So you know what? I'm gonna start now dating women. I never had a proclivity to date women before.
Happens all the time.
It wasn't something that I wanted to do, but I'm just gonna just leave men and switch my attraction
happens
level.
all the time. Many women who have turned, many women who have become bisexual have done so in that form of fashion.
Dr. Bright, that means that a person has not given up on the concept of relationships. They just go in different avenues and different routes. If you be like, oh, I'm being alone for the rest of my life, I ain't dealing with them. I'm like, dang, really? Okay, all right. They still believe in relationships. They just saying I'm doing.
No, they believe in a relationship. They don't believe in the male-female relationship anymore. Just like some of these people may still have a faith in their system, they just don't believe in doing it at church anymore, or maybe they've completely given up on it.
Follow what I'm saying. Even in the relationship,
right? I hear what you're saying.
I know. Follow me. Follow me. Let me clear the point. I'm gonna clear the point. Even in relationships that turned out bad or were not good, there's certain elements where you maybe saw the financial benefit of having 2 incomes, where you saw the benefit of someone that can keep you company and is good to laugh with somebody and share stories with, and do certain things, have dreams and goals and set plans and things like that. Now this person turned out to be a jerk and they were no good and they cheated and beat it and did whatever. So you out of that, but you still experience the value of what it means to be in a relationship. You know that there is value there. So whether you look for somebody else or you say, I ain't dealing with men no more, I'm gonna go deal with women, you still haven't given up on relationships because
you just don't want to be alone.
Listen, let me drive it home. Because
you just don't want to be alone.
Let me drive my point home. You've experienced the benefit of what relationships can do for you. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm correlating that to say when people totally walk away from God, it's like I never experienced or felt any type of value to having a relationship with God. That's the part that I'm saying I don't understand. If you said I'm gonna try to be a Buddhist, or I'm gonna try to do this on my own, or I'm gonna try whatever, meditating or whatever you try to do, you still understand the value of that relationship. So you still find different methods to go about finding that value.
Let me say this, because I feel like I'm normally pretty hard on these people who just leave and say forget church, but I understand this point as well. A lot of people, when you come into church hurt, broke down, whatever, you put a enormous amount of trust in these people that you encounter when you come to church. The enormous amount of trust that you put in them makes people do things they would have never done, right? Like in any other environment, because it's a spiritual experience. And then if you find out that in that vulnerable state, you put an enormous amount of trust in people and it went completely wrong in some cases, then people, even though they don't say it out loud, they blame God. God, how did you allow this to happen when I thought this was an experience that was about you, but I ended up getting used, I ended up getting hurt, I ended up whatever. And people can end up bitter at God. They shouldn't be, but I understand how that happens too.
So, okay, Nikki, let me ask you. I got a question. I do got a question. Do you feel like you've ever had an experience with God? Whether
all the time.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And I went to church for a period of years, in middle school. Middle. I guess, it was like late elementary, probably middle school. I went to church for a good couple years. So I guess my perspective in this may be a little bit different because it's not in my bones, right? And I think that maybe that could be something that aids to your questioning of these people, Q, is you don't understand how they can just give that up, how they can give up the positive relationship that they may have had and the benefits that they've gained from that, because in your bones, you can never imagine bailing on that. You can't ever imagine that not being a part of your life.
You had an experience, right?
So for people who, you know, are okay with that, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. I think that they're going to come back when they're ready, when they're prepared, if the time is right. And if they never do, that's okay too. Maybe that was part of their seasonal journey, you know. But I think it goes back more to the person. I think it goes back more to the person and their functioning, you know, their diligence, their discipline, their willingness, their honesty, their accountability, more than just I'm bailing from God and, you know.
But you made my point more, Nikki, because even you talk, you know, I went to church at one point in time, and I don't see a use for it no more. It don't fit for me. But you do acknowledge, I've had experiences with God.
I've never had experiences with God.
But that's my point. And because of that, then you haven't walked away from the concept of that relationship.
Well, but God is not the same God to me like it is to you. You know,
it don't matter. It don't have to be the same.
It does, because there's tenets and rules, and because there's principles and principalities you have to follow, you know, depending on who your God is.
You switch back over to religion. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about you speaking of saying I had a connection and an experience, and because of that, I might not rock with it the way that y'all try to rock with it, but I will never reject my own experience of what I know to be true. Whatever that experience was for you, you knew what it was, and you don't deny it later on down the road as if it never happened. And what I'm telling you is I know a lot of people who will deny their own experiences. Just like I asked you, have you ever had an experience? I asked a lot of people, I know that they have admitted that they had experiences with God. And later on down the road, when they walk away, it's like, well, I don't know. Maybe it was just.
So I guess maybe I answered your question. Maybe I did not answer your question properly. When you say if I've had an experience with God, for me, that's my relationship as I understand it with whatever God may be in my mind, as opposed to did God save me in a situation or did God bring me through something? I've never felt like that, because for me, God is just a spiritual force, you know? And so for me, it's me doing the work. It's me putting in the efforts. It's me being disciplined. It's me living a certain type of life. And if I live righteously and if I live positively, then those things generally come back to me. You know, I can be struggling, and the universe puts a beautiful spirit in my life to help me out, you know, but that's because I've given. So when you give, you get in return. And it's not like you give to get in return, but I don't have a specific incident of being saved or anything like that with God to say that was my thing. For me, it's just the all-knowing. It's just been the presence, the energy that I've always felt, and we call it God because that's what we've all been trained to do. Today, I don't necessarily call it that, but it is still an energy that I subscribe to. You know, that's
all I'm saying, Nikki. Me and Ivory, we don't subscribe to God in the same way. Our viewpoint of how we view it is different, but it's not even about what you assume is right, or it's your personal experience with it. That's something like why would you take away your own personal experience?
I'll tell you why you would take away your own personal experience.
Okay, let's go.
Because then you have to be accountable.
Elaborate.
So if I acknowledge that there is a God and I acknowledge that it resembles the way I was taught there was a God when I was going to church, then that means that the life I'm living right now, I might be held accountable for it. It's easier for my mind to say that there is not, and I did not experience what I thought I experienced.
Yeah, I got you.
So now, however I choose to live, there's no accountability for it.
I just think
I have a question for you. I have a question for you, Q. You say you and Ivory don't no longer have the same concept of God. What changed your concept of God from what you guys shared as a common concept growing up?
I guess if we just going from our basic faith denomination and upbringing, I I'm definitely not a I'm not a Jesus is the only way person, even though I do love Jesus and I subscribe to Jesus, but I'm not a Jesus is the only way person. I am not a I don't limit God in the personification form. I don't I do believe God does carry our traits, but I also believe that God is everything within, God is evident in many forms. And I also think that God is evident also like in the mind of God is as available as, or he's as real as you allow him to be in your mind. Now he's still real regardless of that, but he will manifest as much as you can comprehend. Just like, so when Nikki says, I don't look at God as X, Y, and Z, but it's a presence I agree with that. I don't only agree with that, but I agree with that too. That's why I don't have any quarrels with what she's saying. And Ivory is more along, I ain't gonna speak for her, but I think she's more along the traditional lines of how the church presents God, Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. This is the only way, type of thing.
I'm a Bible Christian, and I have no qualms.
And the only way to what, Q? Let me get to there, because I think that'll help.
Jesus is the only way to the Father, and God through Jesus is the only way to salvation, and to eternal life. And I'm not of that belief, even though I do believe I'm not that's the only way person. So it don't bother me when somebody disagree with me, because I'm like, yeah, I believe that too. I'm not limiting in that area to where that's the only way type of person.
So do you see how this person who leaves the church can be so conflicted with what they're supposed to feel, think, or believe? Because everybody thinks something different under the same roof. But
if it's okay, then it's okay.
Well, but maybe it's not. Maybe I think that people who leave the church
Nikki,
are struggling most with trying to figure out where they fit.
In this day and age, you can date somebody white, Black, Mexican, Asian. You could date a man, a woman. They could be 90 years old or 18 years in a day if you in this country, and they ain't got to be that old in other countries. So you can have all these different ways and varieties of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't that apply to spirituality? Why do you say, well, if that's the only way it got to be, then why would it be confusing that there's varying ways that people interpret God? When there's various ways in all other relationships, you got people trying to make it legal to marry dolphins now and goats and stuff like that. They want that to be legal. Like you can form relationships in any way you want to, but when it comes to God, then all of these different forms of relationship is confusing to me. I'll just do away. I don't want to have any parts of that's what I'm saying. That don't make sense.
And the analogy of using the relationship is good, but it's not good only in the aspect of a relationship with another human is far inferior than a relationship you have with God. So a person's relationship with God may be just that.
Nikki,
it may be just that critical to them that hurt may have caused such a rift in their spirit that they have to back the fuck up until they can process whatever it is that's happening. Whereas relationships, we just get into another one and another one and another one, right?
Well,
and we're still doing damage while we're doing that. We're not healing from that hurt.
It could be less critical because in relationships, you actually have to have another party comply with the way that you want to have a relationship. When it comes to God, you can have a relationship you want to. If you feel a connection from it, then that's what works. Like you don't even have to have another human being sign off on that.
Right. But the emotional relationship that a person invests in when they confess to and profess to, and that is their belief system for a period of time, to believe in something so strongly with 110% of your body, one would have to assume somebody's really hurt to be able to walk away from that or to turn their back on that. Like, I don't think that anybody who turns their back on religion does so carelessly. I think that's got to be a hell of an inter-turmoil, painful situation to try to figure out, how do I do this by myself now? Or can I even do this by myself? questioning their day-to-day everything. You know, I'd be curious of, you know, do you see many people come back? Do you see, you know, or do most of those people just completely stay away? You know, is this where people find what these relationship dynamics consist of?
I've seen some people come back. Yeah, but and even what I'll say with that also, it kind of goes back to what I said initially about the way it's being presented. And when things are presented one way, then it makes you feel like that's the only way for you to obtain it. And I don't think that's the case. So even, let me keep going. I'm keep going back to my fighting analogy. I box. I did not take on boxing to learn how to box. I took on boxing to learn how to fight. So there's a structure in place that teaches me and guides me on how of art form of fighting. There's some people that I know, and there's some people I know who they went to box, and those same people, when they get on the street, they can't fight to save their life because all they trying to do is box. And when a person kick them in the leg or they throw a brick at them, then they don't know what to do. So boxing is just a component of me learning how to fight. You don't throw away everything just because it's not all encompassing. And I guess my main point is, if you have the right mindset on why you're entering into a thing, then you understand the value of it. And you act differently. But so even when I'm fighting,
your position though.
That's that's what I'm saying. I'm saying if more people took that position, I think they'd be better off versus let me get in church so I can be saved and I don't go to hell and God can fix my life. Versus I want to understand more about God. I want to understand more about my eternal being, my spirituality. I think this is a good mechanism, a good practice, a good discipline that will lead me in those areas. Just like when the woman did Tina Turner and they Najee Rambab, blah, 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 they chanting. That's another. And you know what? All of that. See, and this people don't realize. Najee Rambab. You know what it is? It's vibrations that's activating the pineal gland. Mm-hmm. My grandmother and grandfather used to do the same thing all the time. They didn't do Najee Rama. Oh, Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for this evening. Thank you for blessing us. They're still doing the same humming and they're still operating that pineal gland. And that's why my grandmama knew when I wasn't acting right when I was 20 miles away. I was scared to be around her because she could smell when I wasn't doing right. But it's you know, people look at it one way. It's still different ways that people connect to God.
Right. And that's their way
right.
for the time for the time being.
We split ways on that, but I'll let you have it.
just look into the science of it. When they tell you if you want to operate your third eye and the pineal gland is typically calcified in most people nowadays, they will tell you how you can do that, and it comes with chanting and this, and they'll tell you the vibration.
So that ain't discernment. That ain't discernment. That's stimulating that pineal gland.
So Ivory, okay. So do you believe that people who practice? Good, yes. We got a little bit of time. Do you believe that people who practice witchcraft or sorcery, do you think that they're really seers and they can see the future and that they can see your current life and your present and things like that?
Yep.
Dr. Wright says yes. Ivory, what do you say?
Do I think that people who practice witchcraft can see the future? No.
Let me clarify. Future, whatever. I think it's a perversion of the prophetic gift. That's what I would answer it like that.
It's a perversion of what?
The prophetic gift, because the gifts and callings.
But you acknowledge that it has power.
Absolutely.
Oh no, I definitely think it has power, demonic power. I think there's demons assigned to people's lives, and they're watching you, and they know what's happening, and they know what's happening around you, and they know what people are doing around you, and they can tell people all kind of stuff.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
spiritual realm where things are happening and spiritual are communicating with people. It doesn't mean that it's positive, but yeah, definitely.
Okay, so do you believe that people soothsayers can they operate in a form or level of prophecy?
They can operate. Well, when I say prophecy, that's not what I mean. They can operate in a level of knowledge, yes, of spiritual knowledge.
See, and Nikki, so I'd say this. I let Ivory respond. I think Ivory is bound by her walls of religion to say this is. You can acknowledge that both of them carry a different level of spiritual awareness, but one is good and one is evil. And I say power is how you use it and what you do with it. But
absolutely,
yeah, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah.
Right. I told we disagree on a lot of stuff.
y'all are like perfect examples of why people leave the church.
It's not true.
Yes, it is.
It's not true.
It is. It
I don't know why you keep going back to that.
Because that's what we're talking about is people leaving the church, but
right.
Because there's just so many versions of a way to do it right or wrong depending on who you ask. But there's
also how to cook fried chicken depending on who you ask.
Yeah,
you don't quit.
I mean, but you can't. Those like apples and oranges. You cannot take somebody's foundational belief in God and compare it to fried fucking chicken. That ain't the same. That ain't the same thing at all. I mean, you can. You can if you want to minimize it. You can if you want to minimize it, but not if you want to keep it 100% real.
Let me use your actual example, Nikki, because I'm a very, I think people will say I'm pretty black and white about a lot of stuff. And it's a lot of stuff I disagree with. Like, I just think it's biblically incorrect. But I also believe that in the parameters that I believe in, a relationship with Jesus and God is just a relationship with Jesus and God. And I really almost anything around that, you can disagree with me. And I mean, that's okay, because we can agree when we all find out when we see him. Like, it's not that big of a deal. So like when we see him, we'll figure out what it is. I'm not sending you to hell, like whatever. And so like when I encounter people I disagree with, let's say it's about homosexuality. Well, I don't really agree with homosexuality, but I would tell a homosexual Christian to go to a homosexual church where they could live out their Christian life freely and have a good life. Like, don't go to a regular church that doesn't agree with what you really believe. Go to a church where you can be what you believe.
But don't you think
and serve God? Even though I disagree
with a homosexual,
I want you to have the most productive Christian life.
Just not next to you. Not in your church, though. In somebody else's church.
Hold on,
well,
Stokely,
no, I don't want
Stokely,
you to come
going
to my
out for a
church
second.
because why would I want you to live a double life in hiding? If my church doesn't agree with it, then you will live perpetually under guilt, shame, whatever, because that's not what we believe. Why not go somewhere where you can live the fullness of what you actually believe, and then I see you in heaven and with God to tell us what was right. Who cares at that point, though?
But I thought they're not going to heaven because they're gay.
I didn't say they weren't going. See, you missed what I said.
No, but isn't that like one of the things? Like that's what they say gay people are going to go to hell? That has been the attitude from jump. Is that gay people are going to go to hell?
Nikki,
I'm telling you what
I don't believe that.
I know. So herein lies the problem. You believe one thing, and she believes one thing, and he believes one thing, and every other Christian
then what
believes.
do you believe, Nikki? Then you get to believe what you.
Well, and this is what I'm saying. Even me
being
either. More black and white than maybe Quentin and Dr. Bright. Like I don't believe that people who profess Jesus Christ are going to hell because they're gay. I don't believe that. Now, I don't believe that it's the right thing to do, but I disagree with a lot of things that Christians do, and Christians disagree with things that I do. And like I said, when we see God, he could tell us what the truth was, and we all gonna be chilling in heaven anyway. It ain't really gonna matter. So, I mean, but my thing is, don't go a place that doesn't agree with what you agree with about
that
God.
building is supposed to love everybody. That building is supposed to love everybody. That building is supposed to be open doors for everybody. That building is supposed to be a refuge for everybody who's asking for help and asking for
missing
Jesus.
What I'm saying.
No,
Nikki.
You're missing what I'm saying. I heard exactly what you're saying. You're telling people to go to another church. These people maybe they want to come to your church. Maybe they like some of the people.
Okay. So if I have to go into it like that. No, because that's not what I said.
What's
but let me
confusing
explain
about what I
said. No, listen. if you want to come to my church, you can come to my church with any struggle.
Right.
Like, but I believe that that's a struggle, right? At my church, we would say that that's a struggle. So that's something you're struggling through to get through. Just like I've had struggles I've been in recovery for. Okay, I'm struggling through it to get through it. I'm a human person. But just because I was engaged in it doesn't mean I think it's right. I went to my church thinks it's wrong. I think it's wrong and I engage in it. So I'm struggling through it. All I'm saying is if you're a gay person going to a church that thinks that's a struggle, but you don't believe it's a struggle, don't go to that church.
All right. I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I know. I heard exactly what you're saying.
Listen,
this is
it's the
why
same
people.
thing about
This
fornication.
is why.
Listen,
this is why people who are struggling.
If you come to my
oftentimes
church,
don't come to the church.
If
Let
you
me
come
say
to my
this.
not
church,
open
This-
policy.
if you come to my church, they're going to tell you fornication is a sin. Okay, they're going to tell you
Right.
shacking is a sin. They're going to say don't live with people, don't
True.
have sex before you get married. Now,
True.
if you want to not get married for the rest of your life and live with your partner, why would you come to my church?
True.
That's crazy. Go to a church where they believe shacking is okay, so you can
Yeah.
serve God freely. It's the same concept.
Wow,
Don't got
that's
nothing to do with love.
contradiction, man. That's thrown how that shit is
Well,
rationalized.
Nikki,
and
I don't know why.
justified.
Here, and Stokely, you can jump in a second. But Nikki, I don't know why you would even like. It seems like I'll say this. It seems like you're you're carrying the weight of every church when that's not. And I don't mean carrying the weight like you carrying the weight, but it's like we can't put every church to the forefront and say because of the differences, then it seems like, I don't know, it seems like you're getting overwhelmed by the level of differences within the church. And I think what we're trying to say is I don't think anybody, myself, Ivory, Dr. Bright, I haven't heard from Stokely yet, but I don't think any of us are saying that the variety of churches is a bad thing. And for
No, variety of churches is not a bad thing.
it seems like you're saying that it is because since we all have difference of opinions and how we would choose to worship and understand God, you like, well, now I see why a person wouldn't want to come to church. I'm like, and for me on the opposite, I'm like, there's variety there. There's something for everybody. At the
I'm
right
happy
place.
about it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, because then you get to be around that's cool. I mean, I don't believe in religion anyways. I think it's cool. I don't think that it is I don't think that it is as inclusive as many people try to make it out to be. I think it is more exclusionary, and this is a perfect example of. So I can see why people would leave a church.
Well, Nikki,
and this
I think
is what
it's
causes
inclusive.
church hurt.
I think the variety makes it inclusive.
The variety is obviously because there has to be a church that takes gay people and people who fornicate and people who like you gotta find a group of your own people, because them people over there at that church who aren't supposed to be judging anyways are clearly juging.
Not about judgment.
But Nikki, like I'm not gonna go to.
It is if one person says it's okay and another says it's not.
But we
But
can
Nikki,
do that.
I'm not gonna go to
that's not
Jasper,
the conversation
Texas, and
we're
indict
having.
all churches because there's racist churches in Jasper, Texas. It's like I'm not. Why would
I go to church in Jasper where I know they hate niggas? Why would I do that?
And why am I going to give my energy to
well, I guess the basis of then that gets into the basis of where Christianity came from in this country is who subscribed it and who gave it to who and who adopted it. So I mean that's a conversation for a whole nother thing, but we're talking about how a person lives their life.
how was that
not being welcome in one space or welcome in another space? I can see those being reasons why people may leave a church or a faith. That's all I'm saying.
Let me say this real quick. I'm sorry. Let me barge in real quick. So this is, I understand what Nikki's saying. I completely, but I understand what everybody else is saying as well. We're going through a time right now where the Republican Party is saying all these things about we're Christian. This is Christian life. This is how Christians live. This is how. But I am sitting here listening to this foolishness, and I'm just like, no. I was raised a Christian. My parents kept us in the church. But with that, all that being said, and then we have you have gay folks that aren't welcome to certain churches. You have black folks that aren't welcome to certain churches. I understand there's a plethora of churches that you can choose to go to. But if I'm a Christian and you're a Christian, shouldn't we all just be able to sit there and Christian together?
Sure.
That's what I thought.
But if there's somebody gay, and they're Christian too, they can't Christian with us.
Yeah, you can Christian with me.
Hang on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then, like I was saying, when it comes down to what we're seeing in real time with the Republican Party, and not to get political on it, but they're telling us that they're Christians. This is our father. They don't want to separate church and state, but yet here we are. They're saying these Christian values. No, they're not. I don't feel as though they're Christian values. I personally don't. They don't want to do stuff in school to include certain groups of people. They are, but they're Christians. They're telling us they're Christians.
Right, let me respond back, Stokely. Hold on, real quick. Let me respond back real quick, Stokely.
Maybe this ain't my forte, but I'm
no. You good? I want to know. I'm just saying, like, how often?
I need to say something quickly.
Okay,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Andre. Go ahead, Andre.
Hoo-wee.
So, I purposely brought up some of the things that don't happen in my church on purpose, because I feel like when it comes to church, if it's a club, if it's a this, whatever, people get the right to make the rules for the space and the people who are there based off whatever they're basing it off of. But people don't get to do that for church. And so if I said at my church, we don't support people sleeping with other people's husbands, nobody say anything, right? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Nobody likes that, Well, that's one of the rules anyway. No adultery. Got it. But then when we get down to stuff that it's more widely acceptable to do now, and I say, well, my church still don't say it's widely accepted, but oh, that's awful. Oh no love. So I'm just saying, like, we can have these very judgmental attitudes about the church, and sometimes I don't hear this about the mosque, but whatever, I'm gonna leave that alone. But we can have these very judgmental attitudes about the church and about some of the rules they still have. And all I'm saying is just like your mama's house. If you don't want to play by her rules, you get your own place.
But my mama don't make the rules. My mama don't make the rules for everybody.
It don't mean your mama don't love you.
She make the rules on her.
My mama don't make the rules for everybody.
If you don't want to
my mama don't make the rules everybody has to follow.
In her house.
You don't want to abide by the rules in my house.
I said everybody.
I love you, but you can't live here.
But that's a different argument that you're talking about, Nikki. So let me say this as far as what I was saying with Stokely. We have real life examples all the time that we navigate through. I just don't know why it's different when it comes to church. So let me give you an example.
Different.
If you go to a club, there's certain clubs that are not accepting of gay people or not even accepting of black people. Do that mean we don't go to clubs? Oh, I ain't messing with them. No, if you rock with clubs, you find the right type of, pretty much everybody finds the right type of club that plays the type of music, that serves the type of drinks, that has the type of atmosphere that suits them. And they don't get mad. Hold on. And they don't get mad at the other clubs that don't cater toward them.
That club name isn't all my money. That club name isn't writing laws. That club name isn't demanding that we do certain things with our bodies or not. Like, we can use a million different examples.
Nikki. I gotta finish my point. Another thing I was gonna say to you, Stokely, as well. In the same, even when you talked about the evangelical Christians and people like that, if you are a part of that community, you know how to speak on. No, they don't represent us. That's one of the main reasons I don't call myself a Christian. That's why I talk about I separate myself from the evangelicals, because they not right. And Stokely, we do this all the time. Think about how many times they'll throw a token black person up there and they're like, nah, they don't. Ben Carson don't speak for us.
No.
And we don't rock with it. Nope, that ain't us. Whatever, you can listen to that craziness if you want to, but Candace Owens, Ben Carson, whoever else, they don't speak for us. And we keep it moving. And all I'm saying is, how come the church can't have that same concession?
I think, gosh, and maybe it's the conditioning. Maybe it's the the conditioning that we've been raised on to say. We've been told, God says, come as you are. Bring yourself. Come as you are. And if someone is gay and they want to go to this church, I can't tell you, I got 2 cousins, gay as can be. Love them all the same, don't get me wrong. Be in church every Sunday, leading the choir, in the choir, doing everything.
Every church has gay people in it.
Every church has gay people in it. Every single church has gay people in it.
I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, I just, and this is why I say, I understand there are churches out there that are wide open to whoever wants to be there. There are also churches, and this is why I say I understand what Nikki's saying. You know, why should a gay person have to separate themselves? They're Christian. I mean, now we're drawing.
I think what's happened is what Ivory said was
they didn't hear me.
I heard
because
you.
she didn't say you can't go there.
She said find another place that you believe in.
No, she encouraged you to find a place that's more in line with what you believe, but she didn't say you couldn't go there.
Exactly. Well, obviously, but they make it to where this ain't the spot you want to be at.
That's not what
the energy is. We don't really subscribe to this. The energy is going to tell you to go elsewhere. You don't have to stay specifically hanging on the door, but if everybody collectively.
Because he heard what I said and you didn't.
I definitely heard what you said. I always hear what you say.
Because you tried to repeat it back and you got it completely wrong.
I didn't. You said if people have a different lifestyle, they should go to a place that supports what they do.
You got it wrong.
You said they should go to a place that supports what their lifestyle is.
No, that's not what I said. That's how I know you didn't hear me.
What your church subscribed to is not homosexuality. So it will be better for that person to go to a church that has the same belief system that person has. I mean, you can't even hear me because you're talking. So my case is my point is proven.
What I actually said.
My point is proven.
Books or something. Let's talk about
No. She said you didn't hear. Ivory, what did you feel Nikki got wrong or misrepresented?
Just replay it when we're done. You'll hear it. I didn't misconstrue.
We can say
I didn't water down anything that was said.
Let's go. What
I did not say that a gay person cannot go to. A gay person should be able to go to any church.
Right.
This is what I said. I said if you truly believe that what you're doing and it's a lifestyle that you want to live openly, you want to get married, you want to celebrate your faith, and you want to be gay, and you think that's okay, you should go to a church that's going to let you get married, that's going to actually celebrate that, so you can live a full life. Now,
well, you didn't say any of those things actually, but what you did say was not a single one of those words, getting married and doing all those things.
Nikki, you have to go back and listen to that now.
Version of that.
Now you got to go back and listen.
Nikki, you have to go back and listen.
I very much will.
That's absolutely what and she kind of
she talked about the marriage part. She talked about the marriage part, but
this is exactly what I said, Nikki. You weren't listening. You got triggered. You just not listening.
This is why people don't go to the church, because of shit like this.
You're triggered.
I'm not triggered. Listening. I'm just not going to let 2.5, 3 of y'all steamroll me as though I'm not intelligent enough to hear and comprehend what you said. This is what y'all do. This is what
it's a difference between.
This is what y'all do.
Oh my goodness!
This is how disagreeing with Christian people goes every single time.
There's a difference between
you taking this somewhere
and what was heard.
This is totally defining the question that Dr. Bright had, or why would people leave? Why would they turn their backs? Why would they discredit their experience? Because when people get into experiences like this and situations like this, how does one open their heart back up? How does one go back to feeling welcome?
This is the main thing right here. I wasn't even trying to go to direct. The church was the sub story about this post. The real story was about a person's direct connection with God. For some reason, you keep taking it back to the church when I ain't even trying to go there. So
well,
it kind of listen. If I hold on, if I'm being open and honest, that would be a sign that you are triggered because you keep taking it back to somewhere that I'm not even trying to go.
You brought up people leaving the church, so I'm talking about people leaving the church.
No, sub point.
We're talking about Ivory's church building.
My point
We're
was
talking about other church buildings. So I'm not.
My point was about people leaving their relationship with God. That's what I've been saying for the last 30 minutes. And then
you talked about people leaving and
a sub point.
So that's where I was apparently on the sub
point. Go back and watch it. My focus has been about people's direct relationship with God and how do they lose a direct connection and relationship that they had
because of shit like this.
Religion.
Because of shit like this.
All right, Nick.
Because of stuff, because of situations like this.
What about the situation? What about this conversation is what makes people go? Tell me. I want to hear this.
I'm not. We can rewatch the same episode.
No, I just keep talking about it. It's fine. I'm telling you.
Why people leave.
This is what I'm telling you. As much as I'm trying to talk about a relationship with God, you keep taking it back to the church. Any conversation that I have, you redirect it back to the church. And I'm not even talking about the church. My thing is,
what we're having right now was about what Ivory had said about her particular church building. We can take it back to the relationship with God.
All of that is based
off have church to have a relationship with God.
Who keeps bringing the conversation back to
me?
Actually, Nikki, I mentioned the church building, but I was mentioning my own personal belief system.
Right.
You hung on to that part
you
about
referenced your church in terms
I was talking about
comfortability for somebody who doesn't believe in the same thing.
You gonna let me finish? I was talking about my personal belief system in the sense of just because I don't personally believe something is right, I don't believe you're going to hell because of it. I still think you can have a relationship with God and do something I disagree with and go to heaven. That was actually my point. Right. And I just brought that up, the church part about it, to give an example of how I believe it. You hung on to the church part.
Because that was ridiculous, in my opinion, as somebody who may come to a church looking for refuge.
Let me tell you my experience with this. You saying it's ridiculous. You attacked my character. You attacked my love. You attacked how I feel. Like you went on a whole attack spree on me because you think that's ridiculous. But then say you can't talk to Christians. This is why you can't talk to Christians. When you went on a whole diatribe about how horrible me and my church is.
In the same breath.
I'm the one you can't talk to.
In the same breath, me, Ivory, and Dr. Bright openly talked about how we disagree with it. But we disagreed peacefully. It wasn't no problem. We still love each other. And we respect the way that everybody is. And
for 20 minutes.
We respect the way each person has their differences of opinion. So if there's anything that I could say that a person could take from it, not with you, oh, I can't fuck with this because this and that. Oh, these people, they believe in different ways, yet they still get along. They connect together, they co-op, they work together, they do stuff. Everything is fine and they work in harmony and they don't cross each other's belief system. That would be encouraging for me if I was an outsider to say, oh, there's a space for me. I don't have, and what it says is I don't have to subscribe directly to what any of them says. I can find my own niche within where however mine is customized to fit, and it'll be okay. I can still be in fellowship with Q, Ivory, and Dr. Bright all at the same time, and I ain't even got to agree with none of them. Just like we do with you, Nikki. I mean, I'm just in the far. I'm just as much in the middle between you as I am Ivory. I'm not closer to Ivory than I am to you as far as my belief system. Whether you don't know that, but that's the truth. But it's and that's why I can get along with you just as good as I can Ivory.
I hear you.
Okay. I love these conversations. All right.
I don't, but I'm glad you do.
Yeah, I mean it now. Okay, but on the flip side, go back and my whole focus, because look, I could talk about church stuff all day, and to tell you the truth, in all honesty, it's not even my focus to talk about church stuff in a secular setting, because there's a lot of stuff that's going to be overlooked, going to be missed. And most of the time, secular people will try to take it in a direction that really isn't that. I rather talk about in the space like this, the spiritual aspect, direct connection to spirituality, a relationship between a person and God, that's more universal in a way that everybody touches and has an experience and can have input on. That's why I asked you the question that I asked you about your experiences. I ain't sit there and ask you, did you read how well do you know the book of Leviticus? I'm like, no, that's not even relevant. Now in a different setting, if I was in a church setting, then we might have those type of conversations. But you know, that's I don't know. That's where I'm at. I think we've talked it all out. Anybody else got any other questions or want to go somewhere else with it?
No, I hate we didn't get into the Nick Cannon thing. We definitely got to talk about that.
No, it don't matter. He'll have another kid next week. It'll be fine.
He's got another one on the way.
That's what I'm saying.
Quentin, no, Quentin, that is not a healthy family structure. That's not healthy about that.
I agree.
And don't be trying to cancel Vivica for just telling the truth.
I agree.
I'm tired of Vivica. I'm done with Vivica.
But this not
she's telling the truth. That's not healthy.
I agree. You cannot be a father to 10 different children or 10 different roofs. You cannot be available to each of your children emotionally if they're in 10 different houses. You can still be a bomb-ass father when you see them, but you can't father 10 different children in 10 different places.
Not only that, they talk to the mothers. They don't even talk to each other. So as your children grow up, they're not even going to have a relationship
with their siblings.
Yeah. That's not healthy.
No, that's not.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that happens all the time.
That doesn't make it okay.
In less fortunate situations where the father or the parents cannot provide for the listen, I'm not going to.
You said you're about intent, Quinn. He's doing this purposely, though.
Yes, and that's fine. I don't have an issue. I don't have an issue with children that's going to be well off and go to the best schools and live a good life and have two parents available. I'm not gonna feel sorry for them. Meanwhile, it's thousands of orphanages, and if you over the age of 8, then you ain't never getting adopted.
Listen,
like, what are we really talking about?
Listen, but both things can be true at the same time,
right?
No, both things can be true at the same time,
right?
That's
okay, Dr. Bright. On the totem pole of bad, a multi-millionaire who got worth about $200 million is not gonna be on the top of the list of what's the worst thing for a child to deal with.
But you being the parent right now that's telling the kid that's complaining that kids are starving somewhere. I mean, that's what you being right now. He's
providing and he's going to be present. Now, if you're talking about the level of how present you're going to be, that's debatable. And my argument is, I can argue two parents who work 2 jobs and 60, 70 hours a week are less available than he's going to be.
Nah, but you still have them under one roof all the time.
You see them under one roof.
And
all
they're
the time.
Every night, they're seeing you every morning.
They see you every day for 30 minutes and you tired and you go on to bed.
It's still better than seeing
you grow up with your
parents. No,
you watch the news of your family.
That's your opinion.
You have your siblings.
That's your opinion that is better. I can't say that is better. In your world, it might be better if you lived with all of your siblings and all 10 people lived in a 2-bedroom house.
Well,
some people may disagree.
A 10-bedroom house. I mean, they can have a huge house for everybody to accommodate,
well,
but all
10 people can have 10 houses.
But listen, and it's not just
you cannot spread a parent that thin and expect that everyone's going to win. It's not.
Who's being spread thin? Nick?
Him and those children. Those children's relationship with their father and their father's relationship with their child and the father's relationship with his children.
But you know that same argument can apply to people who don't have children spread all over the place. They've been saying for the last 15 years how Tom Brady never sees his kids because he's always playing football.
And he should make time for his kids. That argument doesn't negate this argument though.
That's still his job to take care of his children, to be available to his children.
Totally disagree.
You're using other bad scenarios to say this is not a bad scenario.
People ain't talking about Tom Brady like they're talking about Nick Cannon.
But Tom Brady doesn't have 10 kids all over the place.
It don't matter.
It does, because that's exactly what we're talking about is multiple children in multiple homes.
Doesn't get to see their children often.
Listen, this is my
thing. No girls tell what's his name? No. Nick Cannon.
Who?
Like girls. Do any women tell him no? You can't get me pregnant?
Why?
No, they want that bag.
They
don't care about
that. They do.
Guaranteed for the rest of their life. They're gonna live comfortable for the rest of their life.
Man.
And he keeps having babies with the same women, which is fine. So them kids will have their siblings, but it's going to create a very strange dynamic for all those children growing up to have multiple siblings in different households that we have no connection. So I'm not saying that having a whole bunch of kids is bad. I'm not saying he can't be a good dad.
And they ain't providing for them. They ain't
But
got no
it's all
college saved
bad,
up for them.
though, is what I'm saying.
I can't say that's all bad.
It's all bad.
Mm-mm.
That is not okay. This is what I'm saying. Everybody has different family dynamics. And a lot of times people's family dynamics is because somebody was irresponsible, a relationship didn't work out, things went wrong, and you don't have the most ideal family situation that you might have liked, but it was not your intent. His intent is to create dysfunctional family situations.
Dysfunction? I thought you said his intent is to have a lot of kids.
Under dysfunctional circumstances. And that's my problem.
Why would you assume? See, you assume it's dysfunctional circumstances.
Because not only are you not with these women, first off, it's a bunch of control that goes with it. You know these women can't date other people?
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No.
So he's a polygamist, but only he can delve in other women. They can't delve in other men. No. But they all don't live in one big fucking happy family and raise their children together as one big happy family.
Right, because that would be real polygamy.
That would work.
That could work. He doesn't have them where they communicate together. They can't date other people, right? While they want to deal with him, or he won't deal with them at all anymore. This is dysfunction. It is control. It's dysfunction. It's his ego. It's not a healthy family dynamic.
I agree.
It's centered around him, and it's dysfunctional.
I agree. And he can still be a good dad to those children, but that does not change the fact
it doesn't make it different.
This is not
healthy.
No, it's not healthy.
I disagree.
Okay.
I absolutely disagree. I believe people get what they
Stokely. What do you think about Nick Cannon?
What do you think?
Y'all gonna make me start smoking a cigarette after all of this. I don't even smoke like that. I just can't. Hey, I hear what I was saying as far as the dysfunction of it all, and now I didn't know that the women couldn't date other folks and all that, and it's getting crazier. Q, I don't know how you saying you don't understand. It's sounding crazy to me.
I understand.
I let folks do what they want to do.
By the time you got to child number 4, I'm sure he already got agreements set. Everything is in. The women know up front what they're getting into. So he gonna tell you can't be with nobody else. He gonna tell you, yeah, this is the way it's going. You're not gonna interact with the other baby mamas. Ain't gonna be no conflict. You ain't gonna be dragging my name out in public. Blah 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 blah. They know it. They hear it. They want. Like Ivory said, the bag, and they sign up for it. God. I don't have an issue with anybody. When I don't have an issue with the stripper or the simp. Both of them trying to get something out of the situation. The simp getting what he getting,
but there's kids involved.
That's the children pay the price. The children pay the price for stupid fucking
kids involved. And you're right. I don't got no problem.
The children pay the ultimate price.
Children gonna live well.
That is so disrespectful.
It doesn't mean it's the best way.
So see, I have a friend of mine in Austin, as a matter of fact, who don't make the money Nick Cannon makes. He got 13 kids by about 7 different girls, 8 different girls. And it's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. And so the saving grace with Nick is loaded up.
Right.
It ain't if you can provide for him, it ain't horrible.
Just because you financially provide does not mean you emotionally provide. Does not mean that you spiritually provide.
Who said he don't emotionally provide? Who said he's not going to emotionally provide?
You cannot emotionally be available if you have children in 10 different homes. You cannot. You cannot emotionally be available if you have children in 10 different homes. That's not an assumption. That's the truth.
What he can do is buy an apartment building. What he can do is buy an apartment building, put all his wives or his girls and the kids up in one building, and he can visit them all at one time. Because then he can spend the time with them, and they all taken care of. That's the only way to hide.
Yeah.
This boy was just doing damage control the other day because one of his baby mamas say that she called his secretary to schedule time for him and his kid or something.
That's so crazy to me.
He on TV talking about, she said it wrong. Now y'all gonna think it's bad. No, my kids are more busy than me. She's letting the secretary know my kids' schedule so I can fit in.
I agree with Nick.
Shut up.
I agree
Ain't
with
that your kids? Ain't that
I agree with Nick.
Like, come on now.
She tried to throw shade on him on the cool. I agree with Nick on that.
Wow.
Whatever.
That's
no
so
shit. That's wild to me. That's
crazy.
Can one of y'all send me a cigarette, please? I need a cigarette. This is crazy.
I'm on Team Nick with this one. No, you signed up for it. Everything ain't an ideal situation. You signed up for it because you weighed the balances and you were like, yo, this is a better life than what I'm currently living. I prefer to live this type of way.
So fuck them kids. Basically.
Don't get buyers. No,
fuck them kids.
The kids are going to live well.
He's being selfish as hell. It's very selfish. He's not thinking about them children or
it's
his
11 kids now, ain't it?
I think the 11th one is pregnant.
I'm not gonna say he's not selfish. I'm not gonna say he's not selfish. I'm not gonna say that.
Quentin, what's wrong with Vivica commenting doing her job?
No, forget that doing her job. She itched on Kevin. I see when I start seeing patterns of people going after certain, like Kanye. I get off the boat with him. He always tiptoe around white people, but then always got something crazy to say about black people.
Thank you.
And what happens is you get rewarded by massa when you do that type of stuff. So then they keep encouraging that type of behavior. And once you realize that, then you keep on doing it more and more and more because you see you being a good Girl Scout for it.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
I'm going to be devil's advocate, but I will do more research as well. It is a show that I would believe most of the audience is African American for this show. And most of the topics I've seen them talk about are African American topics. So my assumption would be that she is going to end up talking about African Americans more just because of the platform.
No. Racism is an African American topic.
Okay.
So yeah, talking about white people can also be a very popular topic among black people.
So you're saying because she doesn't talk about that?
I don't want to see
because you
the queens talk about white people all day.
I don't want to see.
And I think their show's on Fox. Fox ain't gonna let them talk about what they don't want them to talk about.
No. Fox will allow anything. Fox and Fox News is they the same, but they totally different.
But if the handlers do not want to hear 4 black women with a predominantly black audience talking about racism, because God forbid you tell the truth.
Okay, Nikki.
They're not going to allow certain topics.
Nikki, let's say that's true. So now we've taken away one arena of topic conversation. Now it starts narrowing down. Are we going to talk about, if we can't talk about white people, then we're going to talk about black people. And if we talk about black women, who's the primary viewership of our audience, then we're going to lose our viewership. So where are we going to go? Let's go talk about black people.
Okay. I don't think it's that deep. They talk about pop culture a lot, which you're not going to talk about racism. If your show is about pop culture, you're not going to sit around and talk about racism all day. It's a pretty shallow show. They're not like trying to solve no world issues or nothing. It's what you really watch when you just want a mind break from anything substantive.
Right.
So
But because TV is programming, though, what they say is powerful. So I do understand what I understand what you're saying, Q, in the aspect of, it's not helping them to talk down on black men, right? It's not helping them to talk down on black women. It's not helping to talk down on these things. So I know what you mean when you say that, but I think in this particular conversation, it could have been something literally just as simple as talking about how this fool got all these kids and all these different houses and how it just isn't a healthy dynamic. And she did talk about how, especially his sons need their father around, so I don't know if those are necessarily like the same.
Oh, why not talk about some of these men who are not taking care of their kids?
Well, maybe they will, but like
and I ain't even
said,
saying you got to talk about the average Joe,
conversation.
because they're gonna talk, and that's what I'm saying.
Pop
There's people in pop culture who are still not properly taking care of their kids.
True. Well, Nick Cannon just can't keep his ass or his penis out the limelight, so he just continues to be somebody.
So
who
then,
talks
but then
about
that's what I don't like. So even so, now the goal poll keeps changing to where they can't say he just having too many kids, because then on top of that, then you have to go at Kiki Wyatt and go at some other people. They can't say he not providing for the kids, because he is providing for the kids. So now they have to say, well, with that many baby mamas in that many households, that is definitely untraditional. And in a relationship, let me tell you something. In any house, I don't care if all 10 of the kids live together, it's gonna be some kids that feel like they're not getting their attention when it's 10 kids, regardless.
But that's two different dynamics, though.
It's different dynamics, but you can't sit there and act like you 10 kids is gonna get all the attention. It was 3 of us, and I was the middle child, and I got left out.
But if I don't get to see you till, but if I don't get to see you for another 3 weeks, if I don't get to see you for another 3 weeks, because that's when my mom gets her turn with you, versus I'll see my daddy tomorrow when he gets home from work, or I'll see my mom tomorrow when she gets in from work. Like, you're still gonna have that contact kind of with your immediate parent if you live with them, versus a parent that you just do not get to see because your dad doesn't live there and you are on visitation. Straight up. I mean,
I go through that same thing right now. So sometimes does it mean, okay, well, yeah, okay, so now I gotta, instead of seeing them or spending time with them, now maybe I gotta be on Duo or Zoom, or maybe I gotta settle for a phone call.
True.
It's hold on. My point is, it's suboptimal. It's not the perfect world scenario. But that doesn't mean that your children will have to go without, and they're going to be emotionally deprived and things like that. They will miss some things. And what I'm saying is, how is that different from a parent that has a single mother that got to work 2 jobs and barely get to see her kids?
Because it's like, and that's not ideal either.
That's what I'm saying. It's a lot of unideal things.
But like, that's not ideal. See her every day.
That's my point. So why are we focusing on this one instance when there's plenty of unideal things that go on?
I said this earlier. I said a lot of situations are not ideal, and he is intentionally creating an unideal situation over and over and over again. So yes, he is going to get criticized because this is not happenstance.
Right.
Men don't end up seeing their kids every other weekend because that's how they want it.
Right.
Women don't end up as single mothers working all night because that's what they want. He is intentionally creating a situation he wants that's not ideal. Okay. That's different.
It's different to you because of the intention.
Okay. We talked about intention on High IQ.
We did. And I said intention means a lot. Yes, it means almost everything to me.
Yeah, and the difference, Q, is you're not continuing to have children all over the place. You've contained what you can, and this works. So you know you can be dedicated to your children when they're with their mom, and you can be even more dedicated to them when they're in your presence. Nick can't do that when you've got 10 different households and 10 different women and 10 different women you have to entertain to make the peace in the place for you to be able to see your kids, have access to your kids.
I feel like we're making the assumption and adding up based
on I still have no more kids as a single mom because
based on our experience and based on what we view a traditional household and based on how much time we feel that we could have in that situation. You don't know how much time he got. You don't know. And what another thing that I learned.
It's like to have children that don't have a father present. I can speak from that space. It is going to affect those children one way or another. He's not there.
Everything has a cause and effect. And I can speak to having going from full time to limited time with your children and learning how to make the time that you have quality instead of when you don't have a large quantity. There is ways that you can do to substitute with quality of time.
And sometimes there's not.
And I'm not saying that he is or isn't doing it. I'm saying we can't come to the assumption or the conclusion that he's unable to based upon his setup.
Fair, but can we agree it's not the most ideal situation?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I don't disagree with that. I don't, but I don't think that makes him a bad person. I don't think
I
that
didn't say
that's
he was
bad
a bad
person.
person.
I don't think he's a
I
bad
think he's a
dad.
little selfish, but I don't think he's a bad person.
Okay, I can say that.
He just can't be in all them places at one time, and eventually the kids are going to pay for that.
I think everybody who has kids on purpose is selfish. You do it for a selfish reason to some degree.
That's another conversation.
You ain't doing it for the sake of the
day. I have
kid.
to
The
think
kid
about
ain't
that.
even there yet. You ain't doing it for them. Who you doing it
Hell,
for?
most people got kids and it wasn't a plan at all. So
That's
it was,
what I
you know,
said,
they
for
just came and then we adjusted to the shit. So you
That's
know,
what, Nikki. That's what I said. For the people who planned on having a kid, they did it.
I plan mine. I got to think about that though. Was
Selfish.
that selfish? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Everything that's selfish is not always bad.
why is having children selfish?
It's just natural.
Saying, what
Right?
else could it be? If you make a choice to have a child, then what else can it be?
I think that's pretty selfless.
It's just like nature, right?
Well, it's
Yeah.
selfless when the
It's-
child, you become
it's-
selfless when the child comes, I believe. But it is a selfish act.
The decision to do it.
Yeah, you know what it takes to make a baby.
You
So
know,
that's
I
the
don't know
part
if
of
it's
it that-
selfish because I just think it's something in most people to want to have children, to
Right.
reproduce.
your
Like
family.
it's such a natural animal.
There's a
thing
lot of
to
natural
wanna
things
do.
that we do for selfish reasons. Having sex, that's a selfish thing. I do it because
That's
it
what
makes
I'm
me feel
talking
good.
about. That's what I'm talking about. It is.
See, even that though, a part of it might be that, but a part of it's just nature. Like
That's what I just.
we
That's what I
we are
literally just
animals.
said. I said a lot of things that we do by nature can still be selfish.
Okay.
I still had a choice to do it.
Having sex with your partner is selfish?
You gotta rewire what the word.
Then when
selfish
you become
means. You can't take
pregnant
word
with the
selfish as
child, then you become this selfless person
right.
who take care of the child later
Right.
on down the road. That's I get that.
And then some of that, what is it? And think about that. A lot of women want to. Not a lot of men. They want a boy. Why you want a boy?
'Cause
You
I'm
want
selfish
another
like
little
that.
replica of you.
Yeah.
Somebody who gonna carry your name on after you gone.
The sequel to Stokely.
Yeah,
Stokely
It's selfish.
2.0
it's natural and it's selfish.
part 2.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about the selfish part. I'm not saying that you're not right. I just have to think about it.
Well, first of all, take the concept of selfish
No,
being
I'm talking
negative
about
out of your
even
mind
good
first.
selfishness. I just have to think about.
Are you able to view selfishness in a positive way?
Yeah, no, for sure. I
Okay.
don't know that it's that, but I'll have to think about it. But yeah, I don't think all selfishness. I mean, I don't think all considering self. Maybe that's an easier way to say it, so it doesn't sound so
the
negative.
fact that you got to say it easier tells you that.
I don't think that all things. Where
Why do you got to
consider
reword it,
yourself
Ivory?
is
Why do you
bad.
have to reword it?
Because I think they kind of denote two different things.
Stokely, what's the definition of selfish? Pull it up. What's
You
the
just made my
definition?
point, Ivory.
What's the definition of selfish?
My phone done died. My computer about
Damn
to
it.
Hold on, I could pull it up. Hold on a second.
Because
Hold
I
on.
mean, selfish does indicate like a negativeness, but I think there's times you do need to consider yourself, and it doesn't have to be negative.
We need to have a whole
Okay.
conversation about selfishness.
We
That's
do.
what we need to do.
We do.
And we've
need
done
to talk about
selfish versus
selfishness.
selfless before, but we should
Okay.
do this again.
Yeah, we can.
What's the difference between being selfish and having good self-esteem? You know,
That's too
stuff like
totally
that. Huh?
Okay. Well, all right, we can.
Mhm.
Okay, so it says of a person, action, or motive lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure.
See, that's why I say you need to change it if you want to do it in the positive, because there's nothing positive about that.
So then, are we changing the definition of selfish to fit what sounds good, or are we
You see,
using
but
the
you see
definition
that?
of selfish
No.
like
It's the same thing. When you see these women on Facebook and they buy themselves and they got the bath with the rose petals and the wine, and they, I having a me day. They saying I'm being selfish. I'm
No, they're
considering
not.
myself.
That's
I'm
not
considering
selfish.
Because you look at it
today.
as a negative thing. It's not negative. They
It's
saying,
not,
look,
just read
it's
was
not
negative.
I'm
selfish.
taking time for who? If it's not for who else? Who are you doing it for then?
It doesn't, based on the definition that you just read, that's not selfish. That's self-care.
Yeah, that definition is horrible. Quinn.
No, but Ivory, you look at it as negative. If I lack consideration for others, when I'm trying to have my own good time, I don't need to have consideration for others.
So then,
That's not a bad thing.
So then, taking a bath isn't selfish because it's not about consideration or not consideration for somebody else.
I'm not considering anybody except for me and my bad knees and my bad back and this glass of wine that I got, and I want to feel good. I ain't considering nobody else, and it's not a bad thing.
But you're not considering anybody else by way of taking a bath. You're just taking a bath because your body needs to soak and you need some time to yourself.
I'm only considering myself and my own pleasure.
Listen,
but you're not considering others. So I don't think
Nikki
that's the same.
Probably attest
it didn't say not. It just said lacking consideration.
Nikki
that's all I said. Lacking consideration.
Why this doesn't register for us? Because even getting to the place to take the bath and do the stuff, you made sure everybody ate. You made sure everybody was good.
In the bed.
You made sure everybody was at. And so thinking about somebody saying, "Oh, me taking a bath was me not considering
me time."
You know how much consideration
when somebody says I need me time
into me get in that tub,
right? That part.
You add no
that part. And I still got the damn phone and baby monitor in the bathroom in case somebody
y'all add on a bunch of stuff. Y'all adding on. Y'all adding.
No, we not.
Y'all adding too much context. That ain't
that. God
forbid all the context
is not necessary. All right, look, we at 2:20. We done.
All right, we've been talking about selfishness one of these days coming up, though. Anything y'all want to add before we close out?
No, y'all.
This was interesting. This was interesting.
Nick Cannon conversation in there. I said we wasn't gonna do it. She still squeaked it in there.
I'm sorry, I had to.
What'd you say, Stokely?
I was just saying this was interesting tonight.
It was.
It was.
It always is. What is not?
No, I'm saying it's interesting from the standpoint of like the God thing, because now I'm gonna go back. Not my fault, but I'm gonna go back and do some studying and figure this one out. I'm gonna go back and watch this later. You know I'm gonna listen to what Ivory said.
I did say about I said about you when we did the evaluation thing. I think I told Ivory, I said Stokely has incredible recall skills.
Yeah.
I
was amazed at some of I was like, dang.
Yeah, he does.
Just off the top, he remembers certain. I was like, I was highly impressed. But
thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's paying attention, But I'm gonna go back and listen to some of this stuff. I'm gonna study up though. Because clearly not everybody's knowledge of religion and God and feelings and so on and so forth are, the same. So
yeah, for sure.
I want to understand Ivy's position. I want to understand Q's position. I want us to understand Nick's position. And my position is just like, damn, let me just learn some shit. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what we go circle back at some point, revisit that one. That was a good one though. I was thinking most of the time listening to y'all thinking though, but
and I will say this: our ability to go all the way to the basement and back again is what makes the conversation possible.
It was good.
We said basement and come back up.
We went to the basement.
Ironically, we used to meet in the basement, so
right, yeah.
Our ability, because if you can't go to the basement and then walk back up the steps together, then you won't go back to the basement together again. And then
tell you what, if we don't do nothing else for
conversations.
people, Ivory, we damn sure show them that. If we don't do nothing else, we show them that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, somebody asked me after the last conversation we had a few weeks ago, and they were like, y'all went in, y'all. I was like, yeah. Me, Nikki Smack, we was at the pool drinking the next day.
Yeah, so we coming out the next day. Shit.
Like, that's fine. Ain't nothing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, and I hope that's, I really do hope that that's things that people do see from this, is that we don't do this for show. Like, this is who we are. This is us to our fucking core, to our bones. You know what I'm saying? And that's the feedback I get a lot of times is like, y'all really cool outside of this? Yes. Now, are we all friends outside of it? No. But if you ever needed anything, I'm dropping every fucking thing, because I believe in growth as humans. And there's not a person on this conversation or that comes to these conversations that doesn't grow somehow, somewhere, some way from something, be it going to the basement and coming back up. Like, damn, these people can really agree to disagree. Yes, we can. Absolutely. And it's actually a really great skill that we would love to impart on a lot of other people.
Now imagine more people could do that though. That would be beautiful.
Yep.
Now, if people could literally agree to disagree and then high five each other and walk back up the stairs together and, you know, still be cool. That's part of the problem. I run into that. I got this one at work, boy. Whoa, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
I read a meme today. It said every HR should allow one fight a month at the job, and whoever loses that gets terminated. You know, and I'm thinking I already got the person I need. I'm winning. So she ain't got a chance up in there with me. Not these. But yeah, it's real. It's real. And this is the person that could grow from conversations like this. I've tried to invite her, but she won't show up. She just won't.
It's not for everybody. It's not.
I know it's not. But I wanted her to come because she's so oh God, I don't know. It's something about her. Tonight's conversation, she grew up. She used to do, I'm gonna share this with you real quick and we go on. She used to do missions, like growing up in her home as a child, did missions all through her early adult life. And then she got married, and she and her husband had 2 boys, and one of her sons grew up as a teenager. So now she's in her 40s or something, and she became not religious any longer. So she's like totally against religion. And so, you know, I didn't know this was going to be the topic of conversation, but during the conversation tonight, I thought about her. I was like, wow. And, but she's the one, she won't listen to anything anybody has to say. Your opinion is, whatever. But if you sat down with her and had a deep conversation with all of us and, you know, just different perspectives, maybe she could grow. She's stunted as far as growth is concerned, you know, and
it's like anything else on Stokely. You got to want it. If you don't want it, we can't want it for the next person. You know what I'm saying? True. And I think that's what makes this, you know, the exception is that we obviously are coming back for a reason. We're not coming here because we want to fight with each other. We're not coming here because we want to get heated. Like, I really don't enjoy that type of shit, to be totally honest. But if it happens, it happens, right? So we come here because there is something that we get out of this that is beneficial, is positive, is motivating, and it's not me trying to change people's beliefs or somebody else trying to change my beliefs. Like nobody, I don't think, comes to this expecting I'm going to change your thoughts about A, B, C, D. It's no, I'm going to present mine. You present yours. You present yours. You present yours, and that's shit. We go from there. And people have been able to see that more beneficial than sometimes this shit we talk about. Just the fact that we can have so many different varying opinions, get intense and passionate sometimes, and then come back to normal. You know, but so many people miss that tool. They stay mad. They stay bitter. They stay angry. They stay in their feelings and don't want to fuck with this person no more because you hurt my feelings. Like, feelings get hurt. My dad told me growing up, feelings just are. That means them shits is going to go away at some point. But we keep coming back. We're not running from the reality that is the world that we live in. And I mean, there's a lot of things people can't tell me, but can't nobody tell me nothing about free thinkers, because this is some real deal shit. This is one of the realest things I've ever experienced, is what we do here every Tuesday. And that's whether people stay for a long time or people stay for a short time. It's seasonal for some people, but those that keep coming back, come back because we get something out of this. And that for me that's why I hope we don't ever have to stop. So that's why you need to share this video on your social media pages.
Look at that segue. You know, I had a chance to go to the casino tonight and win some money tonight, but I chose to be here with y'all.
Oh, we so appreciate you. And because of that, you're going to hit that jackpot next time. Just watch.
Yo. But yeah,
right, y'all.
That's it.
Y'all have a nice evening. Until next time, if you got any topic ideas, feel free to shoot it at us. Make sure you join the page, the YouTube page, the group page, and keep posting your stuff throughout the week, and we will conversate and interact. Y'all have a good night. We see you.
See y'all next Tuesday.
All right.